Chapter 71, Unprecedented Harvest. Zhu Gang's fate. It had been sealed the moment he stepped through the door. After he entered the courtyard, everything he saw, heard, and perceived was nothing more than an illusion created by the thundercloud annihilation array. The real Li Chang'an had been hidden deep within the array the entire time, quietly watching his every move. At this moment, Li Chang'an looked down at him and asked coldly, "Elder Zhu, I don't believe the Zhang family possesses a Tier 2 beast-taming inheritance. What Zhang Lingfeng gave you was just a promise, wasn't it?" "Yes." Zhu Gang's face was deathly pale, whether from blood loss or sheer agony. The immense pain made his voice tremble. "So you're saying you got nothing? You threw your life away for an empty promise?" Li Chang'an shook his head slightly. Greed blinds people. A mere promise had clouded Zhu Gang's judgment, making him overlook many potential dangers. If Li Chang'an were really that easy to deal with, Zhang Lingfeng would have done it himself. Why would he need to find Zhu Gang? At this point, Zhu Gang understood as well. He was filled with regret. If I had known it would come to this, I never should have agreed to help Zhang Lingfeng. "Chang'an." Zhu Gang fought through the pain, his voice trembling as he spoke. "I was momentarily foolish, deceived by that Zhang Lingfeng. In truth, I never wanted to move against you. I have no descendants and I've always thought of you as a nephew." At a time like this, he had no other choice but to try and appeal to Li Chang'an's emotions. But Li Chang'an was unmoved. With a casual wave of his hand, the storage pouch and spirit beast bag on Zhu Gang's body flew into his hand. "Elder Zhu, you are the #1 beast master in King Marketplace after all. There must be quite a few treasures in your storage pouch, right?" Li Chang'an glanced at him and erased the restrictions on the 2 bags. Then he opened the storage pouch and inspected it carefully. "There really is a lot." Li Chang'an's eyes lit up. Inside the storage pouch, there were over 3,000 spirit stones alone. Such a large pile of spirit stones, glittering brightly, was a tempting sight. The treasures in this storage pouch are even more numerous than what was in Zhang Jinbao's. Li Chang'an mused to himself that living a long life really made a difference. Although Zhu Gang didn't have Zhang Jinbao's authority and couldn't use the marketplace's rules to make money, he was a top-grade beast master and had lived more than 20 years longer than Zhang Jinbao. The longer one lived, the more treasures one accumulated. The beast taming ring he used earlier is a Tier 1 top-grade magical artifact of extremely high quality, considered a high-quality item among top-grade magical artifacts. The beast binding lock is a bit special. It has 4 components. Combined, they form a high-quality top-grade magical artifact, but separated, they're just ordinary top-grade magical artifacts. In addition, there were several other top-grade beast-taming magical artifacts with varying effects. Li Chang'an did a quick calculation. The total value of all these top-grade magical artifacts likely exceeded 3,500 spirit stones. Besides these top-grade magical artifacts, there were also numerous beast-taming related middle-grade and low-grade magical artifacts. The sheer number of them was dazzling to Li Chang'an. "These magical artifacts are all useless to me. I'll find some time to sell them at the black market." Li Chang'an had no desire to become a beast master. He had learned from his previous conversations with other beast masters that every one of them needed to invest a great deal of energy into their spirit beasts. For now, he only wanted to focus on himself. Having Da Huang and the profound water turtle as his 2 spirit beasts was enough. "I might have a use for this magical artifact." Li Chang'an picked up a long, shuttle-shaped top-grade magical artifact. The beast-slaying shuttle. This type of magical artifact was very special. It could change size according to the wielder's will and was extremely sensitive to the aura of demon beasts. It could track and kill demon beasts by following their aura. Goo insects were also a type of demon beast, so the beast-slaying shuttle would be effective against them too. "Go!" With a thought from Li Chang'an, the beast-slaying shuttle instantly zipped back and forth across the courtyard several times. It was like a wisp of wind, its form impossible to see clearly, its speed astonishing. "Not bad." Li Chang'an nodded slightly, very satisfied. He raised his hand, gesturing, and recalled it into his storage pouch. This thing might be surprisingly effective against 4th Lady May's goo insects from Black Wind Mountain. Besides these magical artifacts, there were also plenty of elixir pills and talismans. Li Chang'an took stock of them one by one, estimating their value and considering which ones he could sell. Furthermore, inside the storage pouch, the most numerous items were the various demon beast materials. Demon beast skeletons, demon beast furs, demon beast flesh and blood, and so on. This is the turtle shell of a Tier 1 late-stage demon beast, a red armored turtle. It's a good material for making puppets. Li Chang'an picked up the thick, heavy shell and tested its durability. And this cold nether crow, its corpse is perfectly preserved. The essence blood can still be extracted. The arm of this one-eyed ape isn't bad either. The materials were numerous and dazzling. Li Chang'an felt as if he had walked into a shop specializing in demon beast materials. Some of the demon beast materials were so rare that he couldn't even determine their value. With so many materials, I have enough to upgrade my 2 top-grade puppets. Li Chang'an's 2 existing top-grade puppets, one focused on defense, the other on speed, were made from impressive materials. Both were considered quite good among top-grade puppets, but neither had reached the high-quality level. He had already been planning to modify and upgrade the 2 puppets, but before he had a chance to buy materials from the black market, Zhu Gang delivered them right to his door. Besides all this, the storage pouch also contained a large amount of demon beast essence blood that Li Chang'an valued. This is the essence blood of a Tier 1 top-grade demon beast, a striped tiger. I need it for the 6th stage of body refining. As for this iron armor rhinoceros's essence blood, it can be used for the 7th and 8th stages of body refining. Li Chang'an's expression was focused as he took out the small jade bottles sealing the essence blood and identified them one by one. About a quarter of an hour later, he finished his inspection, looking at the vials of essence blood with satisfaction. So much demon beast essence blood. If I had to trade for it all bit by bit, I can't imagine how much time and effort it would have taken. The amount of spirit stones required would have been massive, but now it's all mine. Li Chang'an thought to himself, and not for the first time. Killing for treasure really was a convenient and efficient method. No wonder tribulation cultivators could never be completely wiped out. With a wave of his hand, he collected all the essence blood and stored it away safely. After that, with a thought, he retrieved a jade scroll, a Tier 1 top-grade beast taming inheritance. This was the 3rd top-grade inheritance Li Chang'an had obtained. He held the jade scroll and quickly skimmed its contents. Although he had no intention of becoming a beast master, parts of the inheritance were still quite helpful to him. For example, there were notes on raising water element and earth element demon beasts, including specific sections dedicated to the profound water turtle and the yellow sand dog. In addition, at the end of this inheritance, there were records concerning bloodline mutation. The Huanghe master from Yellow Crane Immortal City, his Yellow Crane spirit beast has a mutated bloodline. A look of surprise appeared in Li Chang'an's eyes. He had never heard of such a thing before, and was surprised to find it recorded in a spirit beast inheritance. According to the records, the Huanghe master had discovered that yellow crane in a secret realm in his early years. It should have had only a low-grade bloodline, but for some unknown reason, it mutated into a top-grade bloodline. Now that yellow crane had grown into a Tier 3 spirit beast, comparable to a human race golden core cultivator. Besides the yellow crane, the inheritance also recorded several other cases. Without exception, all of them were discovered in secret realms. Therefore, many people speculated that a method for elevating bloodline grades existed in ancient times. So I'm not the only one who thought so. Li Chang'an nodded to himself. According to this inheritance, to this day, no one had figured out the reason for bloodline mutation. The secret realms that exist today still have vast, unexplored, mysterious areas. Perhaps one day, the method for bloodline mutation will be found, and maybe even a way to improve one's spiritual root will appear. Li Chang'an felt a sense of anticipation. A moment later, he put down the inheritance jade scroll and continued to inspect the other treasures. Next to the demon beast essence blood was a large pile of treasures for nurturing spirit beasts, all sorted according to their 5 elements attribute. For example, for nurturing water element spirit beasts, there were Li water pearls, jade heart lotus seeds, rain bath pills, and so on. The profound water turtle and Dawang are in for a treat. Li Chang'an smiled immediately taking out some of the treasures and tossing them to his two spirit beasts. Besides these, there were also many treasures needed by cultivators for their cultivation. Even if Li Chang'an couldn't use them, he could exchange them with other cultivators. After he finished cataloging all of these items, Li Chang'an began to sift through the remaining miscellaneous items. I need to be careful and not miss anything. There might be a treasure that can only be controlled with spiritual power. He focused his attention, carefully sorting through everything for a long time. In the end, he didn't find any spiritual power-based treasures. But he did discover a small, useful booklet, the Demon Taming Manual. This booklet recorded the numerous demon beasts Zhu Gang had discovered outside the marketplace. Some of them he had already killed or subdued, but there were others he had not yet managed to acquire. There really are mountain-moving apes. Li Chang'an was delighted. The essence blood of the mountain-moving ape was needed for the 6th stage of body refining. He had been trying to purchase it for a long time, but he had never managed to buy any. He had originally planned to ask Su Fugui to help him find it in Yellow Crane, Immortal City. But this booklet recorded the territory of a group of mountain-moving apes. The reason Zhu Gang hadn't succeeded in hunting them was that the ape king of the group was too powerful, and he was unwilling to provoke it recklessly. Besides the mountain-moving apes, there are many other demon beasts whose essence blood I need. Li Chang'an read through it carefully, committing all the contents of the booklet to memory. He planned to go outside the marketplace to hunt them one by one in the future. Afterward, he continued to take inventory of the remaining items. About an hour later, Li Chang'an finished his inventory and let out a long breath. Phew! He rubbed the bridge of his nose and closed his eyes to rest for a moment. In his more than 10 years of cultivation immortality, this was the first time he had ever felt tired just from taking inventory of his treasures. There was just so much. This Zhu Gang was practically a walking treasure vault. Chapter 72, The Demon Beast's Mockery. After resting for a moment, Li Chang'an picked up Zhu Gang's spirit beast bag. This spirit beast bag has much more space than mine. He gave it a cursory scan. Inside, he found over 30 spirit beasts. There were nearly 20 Tier 1 early-stage spirit beasts and 10 Tier 1 middle-stage spirit beasts. The remaining 5 were all Tier 1 late-stage spirit beasts. One of them, a fire-patterned lion, had impressively reached Tier 1 peak, comparable to a human race cultivator at the Qi refining 9th layer. These spirit beasts are all bound to Zhu Gang by a strict spirit contract. Once Zhu Gang dies, they will die too. Li Chang'an looked at the spirit beasts and pondered for a moment. He had to kill Zhu Gang. As for these spirit beasts, if he could break their spirit contracts, they would survive and could provide him with a long-term supply of essence blood. But the problem was, Li Chang'an simply didn't have the energy to raise so many spirit beasts. Furthermore, these spirit beasts had almost all been raised by Zhu Gang since they were young and were extremely loyal to him. Even if Li Chang'an forced them to sign a spirit contract with him, it was highly likely they would turn on him in the future. To be safe, I'd better just kill them all. Li Chang'an didn't hesitate for long before making his decision. With a thought, he moved the fire-patterned lion out of the spirit beast bag. Roar! The fire-patterned lion was indeed loyal. It roared in fury upon seeing Zhu Gang's miserable state, its fierce eyes filled with killing intent as it lunged at Li Chang'an. But in the next instant, it was suppressed by the array. Beast! Li Chang'an snorted coldly. He immediately used magic to extract the fire-patterned lion's essence blood. After just a dozen breaths, the fire-patterned lion's aura weakened. Its eyes were still full of ferocity. It bared its teeth at Li Chang'an as if it wanted to swallow him whole. A moment later, it finally realized death was approaching. It hastily retracted all its ferocity and lowered its head to Li Chang'an, seemingly in surrender. You want to live? Li Chang'an's expression was indifferent. Showing no mercy, he continued to extract its essence blood. Under normal circumstances, one shouldn't extract too much essence blood at once, or it would cause irreversible damage to the spirit beast. At best, it would lower the spirit beast's potential. At worst, it would kill it. But Li Chang'an had no such scruples. After another dozen breaths, the fire-patterned lion's head drooped completely, its aura steadily diminishing. After letting out one last roar of fury and indignation at Li Chang'an, its aura vanished completely. The essence blood is useful for my body refinement. The remaining spiritual flesh can be eaten with spirit rice for daily meals. The bones can be used to make puppets, and the hide can be sold for a good price. Chang'an calculated in his mind. Afterward, he did the same, disposing of all the spirit beasts in the spirit beast bag. From now on, I'll let Da Huang and the profound water turtle live in this spirit beast bag. The space is larger, so they'll be more comfortable. After doing all this, Chang'an looked at Zhu Gang again. At this moment, although Zhu Gang wasn't dead yet, he was on his last breath. Chang'an, don't kill me, I'm still useful. Don't you need demon beast essence blood? I can help you raise demon beasts. His voice was weak as he pleaded his value. Chang'an shook his head slightly. No need, Elder Zhu. You should go on your way in peace. Wait, Chang'an. Zhu Gang barely managed to draw a breath, his voice growing more urgent. He was frantic. Chang'an, I can also help you deal with Zhang Lingfeng. As long as you pretend to be under my control, you can get close to Zhang Lingfeng and attack him when he least expects it. Then, crack. Before he could finish, a streak of sword chi severed his neck. Zhu Gang's mouth hung open, and his eyes were wide as his head rolled off his shoulders. Elder Zhu, have a safe journey. Chang'an slapped a talisman on him. Soon flames erupted, consuming Zhu Gang's body. The method Zhu Gang had just proposed seemed useful, but in reality, it was extremely dangerous. Chang'an wouldn't even consider it. He did want to kill Zhang Lingfeng, but he needed a foolproof plan. Several months later, Chang'an made several trips to the black market to sell the large number of treasures he had accumulated. Some of these treasures he had obtained from tribulation cultivators, while others had been given to him by Zhang Jinbao and Zhu Gang. During this time, Chang'an finished modifying the two top-grade puppets. He upgraded their tier to high quality. At this point, Chang'an's skills in puppetry had also reached the limit of Tier 1. As for the subsequent inheritance, he had already asked Su Fugui to inquire about it for him. However, even in Yellow Crane Immortal City, a Tier 2 inheritance was not so easy to obtain. After all, a single Tier 2 inheritance was enough to support a foundation establishment family. Brother Li, I just received news that Huang He Master is taking on disciples. Cultivators with sufficient talent have a chance to study under him. Once you successfully become his disciple, you can choose a skills inheritance from the Yellow Crane Immortal City's treasure vault. This was the content of the letter Su Fugui had just sent. Chang'an felt a sense of helplessness as he read it. Talent. A low-grade spirit root like mine is a dime a dozen. No one wants it. Forget becoming a Golden Core's disciple. Even becoming a Foundation Establishment's disciple is difficult. The only reason Su Fugui had succeeded in becoming a disciple was because that elder named Wang Fun had simply taken a liking to him. Oh well, I can't force it, I'll take it slow. Chang'an had a good mentality. His current skills were mostly sufficient for now. In his spare time from cultivation, he would study the spirit plant and beast-taming inheritances he possessed, slowly deepening his understanding of these two skills. A few days later, the 5th stage of body refinement was officially complete. My current physique can withstand an attack from a chi-refining 5th layer cultivator. Chang'an slowly clenched his fists, feeling a terrifying power coursing through his body. If it came to close-quarters combat, he could even tear an ordinary cultivator to shreds with his bare hands. Still, unless absolutely necessary, I should stick to sneak attacks. I must not engage in close combat. Chang'an mused. Body refinement was his final trump card, not to be used lightly. Afterward, he began preparations for the 6th stage of body refinement. He had already traded for a sufficient amount of the required spirit medicine at several small trade fairs. As for the demon beast essence blood, he had also prepared most of it. Only a very few types of essence blood, such as that of the mountain-moving ape, were still missing. The remaining few demon beasts are all recorded in Zhu Gang's little booklet. It shouldn't be difficult to get their essence blood. Chang'an planned to go out and hunt. But he didn't act immediately. Instead, he waited a night. Only after receiving an auspicious trigram did he feel at ease. The next day, Chang'an went out to hunt demons. Just as the divination had shown, it went very smoothly. In just 2 days, he had obtained the essence blood of 5 types of demon beasts, with only one left. I just need the essence blood of the shadowless finch, and I'll have everything for the 6th stage of body refinement. Li Chang'an thought to himself. This last one was also the most difficult. This was because the shadowless finch was a powerful top-grade bloodline demon beast with the extremely rare wind attribute, which was not among the 5 elements. Its innate speed was astonishingly fast. An ordinary cultivator couldn't possibly catch it. Fortunately, Li Chang'an possessed a top-grade escape technique that was nearing great success, not much inferior to Wei Sen's back then. About 4 hours later, Li Chang'an used his escape technique to quietly arrive in the shadowless finch's territory. Before long, a shadowy figure flew past in front of him. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, the shadow vanished, as if what had flown past was just an illusion. It really is the shadowless finch. Li Chang'an's eyes lit up, and he immediately gave chase. The shadowless finch quickly noticed his pursuit. With a flap of its wings, its speed surged, and a mocking laugh came from its beak. Cheep cheep cheep. It seemed to be mocking Li Chang'an for overestimating his own abilities. But soon, it could no longer laugh. One pursued while the other fled. The distance between them didn't increase. Instead, it gradually closed. The shadowless finch changed direction several times, its figure like a phantom, using every trick it knew, but it could not shake Li Chang'an. Finally, it had no other choice and dove headfirst into a cave residence. Immediately after, a faint halo of light appeared at the cave's entrance. A former cultivator's cave residence. Li Chang'an halted, stopping outside the cave residence. Through the hazy glow, he saw a skeleton sitting cross-legged inside the cave. This shadowless finch is clever, knowing how to activate the guardian array in the cave residence. Li Chang'an observed it for a moment. There were still quite a few spirit stones powering the array. If he were to slowly wear it down, it would likely take more than half a month. But he didn't have the time to spare. Good thing I kept the small forbidden array. Chapter 73, A Pleasant Surprise. With a thought, Li Chang'an took out a puppet. He controlled the puppet, had it carry the small forbidden array, and sent it into the cave dwelling's array. He then swiftly tossed out one array flag after another, setting up the small forbidden array in the blink of an eye. Array activate. Countless array flags release spiritual power, connecting with one another and instantly sealing the heaven and earth spiritual power in the area. The flow of magical power to the cave dwelling's guardian array was also cut off. A moment later, the guardian array lost its effect. The shadowless finch was horrified. Its body blurred into an afterimage as it tried to escape. Still think you can run? Li Chang'an snorted coldly and caught up to the shadowless finch in an instant. Seeing there was no escape, a fierce light appeared in the shadowless finch's eyes. Its savage nature was provoked, and it stopped fleeing, turning to attack Li Chang'an instead. But just then, the beast-slaying shuttle flashed past, instantly piercing its body and ending its life. Zhu Gang's demon taming manual was right. This kind of demon beast is wild, difficult to tame, and incredibly ferocious. It's nearly impossible to domesticate. You can only look for a chance to kill it. With a thought, Li Chang'an placed both the beast-slaying shuttle and the shadowless finch's corpse into his storage pouch. He then controlled the puppet to walk over to the skeleton. On the stone table in front of it lay a storage pouch. An unexpected surprise. Li Chang'an had only gone out this time to hunt demon beasts. He never thought he would stumble upon a predecessor's cave dwelling. He used the puppet body to pick up the storage pouch, wore down the restriction on it, and opened it to take a look. There aren't many treasures. It seems this was another senior who failed their foundation establishment breakthrough. Many cultivators at the Qi refining 9th layer would trade their life savings for the treasures needed for foundation establishment. Then they would risk everything in an attempt to break into a higher realm. But most ended in failure. The unlucky ones, who suffered a severe backlash, died on the spot. This senior was rather lucky. At least he was able to leave behind some last words. There were very few treasures in his storage pouch, and not many spirit stones either. Li Chang'an hadn't expected to find much. But his face soon showed surprise. This is. With a thought, he took out a jade scroll. Inside this jade scroll was a wood element technique. A top-grade technique, the small Yemu sword array. Joy filled Li Chang'an's eyes. It was actually a rare top-grade technique, and it was even a wood attribute one. According to the description, this magic was even stronger than an ordinary top-grade technique. When cultivated to great success, its power was absolutely astonishing. Perfect. I rely too much on my puppet and two spirit beasts right now. My own strength is that great, so I really need a powerful slaughter technique. Chang'an smiled as he put the jade scroll away. That evening, Chang'an had just returned to the marketplace when he heard a piece of news. The Zhang family is holding another auction. He was lost in thought. At the last auction, he had lucked into the legacy of a top-grade puppet. Could he get lucky again this time? Soon he heard another piece of news. For this auction, any cultivator in the marketplace could submit items. As long as the Zhang family selected them, they would appear in the auction. Since anyone can submit items, maybe I'll really have a chance to find a bargain. Chang'an went to the trading area and spoke with some other cultivators for a moment. He confirmed the news was true. And from now on, the Zhang family would hold this type of auction every year. After getting the information he wanted, Chang'an was about to leave. Just then, a familiar figure suddenly appeared in his line of sight. Zhang Lingfeng. Not far away, Zhang Lingfeng's eyes turned cold as he also spotted Chang'an. Zhu Gang is too damn slow. He still hasn't gotten Chang'an under control. He was getting impatient but didn't rush Zhu Gang. He knew that Zhu Gang's path of beast taming placed the most importance on building a relationship in the early stages. He had to make Chang'an completely lower his guard through a long period of interaction. Forget it, I'll give him a few more months. With a dark expression, Zhang Lingfeng averted his gaze from Chang'an. Then he put on a smile and began telling the crowd in the trading area about the upcoming auction. Not far away, Chang'an gave him a casual glance before turning to leave. That night, in the courtyard, Chang'an focused his thoughts and executed the small Yimu sword array. In the blink of an eye, he launched 3 impressively powerful streams of wood sword chi. The 3 streams of sword chi hovered before him, their chi pulling at one another, faintly forming a small sword array. I've barely reached the entry level for this small Yimu sword array. The corners of Chang'an's mouth lifted slightly. Once one reached the entry level of this magic, they could control a sword array formed from 3 treasure swords. If cultivated to minor achievement, one could control a 6 swords array. Cultivated to great success, one could control the strongest 9 swords array. Chang'an currently only had his Cyan light sword and no other magical artifact longswords, so for now, he could only substitute with sword chi. Just this small sword array formed from 3 ordinary streams of wood sword chi is already stronger than my middle grade technique, Cyan profound sword chi, which I've cultivated to great success. He sensed the power of the sword chi array and mused silently. If I follow the magic's requirements and form the array with 3 real treasure swords, the power will be on another level. This sword array was truly impressive. If he could cultivate it to great success and simultaneously control 9 Tier 1 top-grade treasure swords, then Chang'an's offensive power would reach a frightening level. But Tier 1 top-grade treasure swords were not cheap. Gathering 9 of them would cost at least 4,000 or 5,000 spirit stones. Moreover, his magical power was too weak right now. Controlling 9 treasure swords at once would be too taxing. Could I use talismans instead of treasure swords to create a one-time use sword array? Chang'an suddenly had an idea. With a thought, 3 identical talismans appeared in his hand. Profound sword talismans. Tier 1 top-grade talismans. When activated, they could release a stream of sword chi that posed a significant threat even to cultivators in the late stage of chi refining. Sword array go. Chang'an executed the magic and activated the 3 profound sword talismans. In an instant, 3 terrifying streams of sword chi shot out in unison. Their chi pulled at one another, and they actually formed a sword array, which blasted toward a corner of the courtyard. Boom! A loud explosion rang out. Even the cloud mist hidden killing ray guarding the residence trembled. It really works. Chang'an's face lit up with joy. He then summoned Dawang to spar with him. Over the past few days, thanks to the treasures for cultivating earth element spirit beasts from Zhu Gang's storage pouch, Dawang had grown quite quickly. It was already a Tier 1 peak spirit beast. Dawang is equivalent to a chi refining 9th layer cultivator. I'll let him experience the power of the sword array. Chang'an once again deployed the sword array formed from 3 profound sword talismans. Across from him, Daewang wore a serious expression, ready for battle, as it cast one earth element defense technique after another. Go! With a thought from Li Chang'an, the sword array shot toward Daewang like a long spear, instantly piercing through layers of defenses. In the blink of an eye, it was right in front of Daewang's body. Seeing this, Li Chang'an made a split-second decision and immediately stopped it. Disperse! The sword array halted, and the 3 streams of sword chi vanished into thin air. Daewang immediately breathed a sigh of relief. He actually could have blocked that sword array, but it would have taken a lot of effort. Chapter 74, New Trump Card. In the courtyard, the man and dog had a bit of a conversation. Li Chang'an learned how Daewang felt. It seems a sword array formed from 3 profound sword talismans is enough to pose a fatal threat to a chi-refining 9th layer cultivator. If 9 profound sword talismans formed a sword array, the power would be unimaginable. It might even be able to instantly destroy a chi-refining 9th layer cultivator. Furthermore, the profound sword talisman was not the most powerful sword chi talisman in Li Chang'an's possession. The strongest sword chi talisman he could currently draw was a high-quality top-grade talisman called the Spirit Sword Talisman. The sword chi released by a Spirit Sword Talisman was far stronger than that of a profound sword talisman. Just how terrifying would a single-use sword array made of 9 Spirit Sword Talismans be? Li Chang'an took a deep breath. He clearly realized something. This talisman sword array had already become his trump card. I have to cultivate this small Yimu sword array to the great success stage as soon as possible. Li Chang'an secretly made up his mind. In the days that followed, he temporarily paused his body refinement and chi refining. He threw all his focus into the small Yimu sword array. Through constant practice, his understanding of this magic deepened, and he soon reached the minor achievement stage. He could now control a sword array composed of 6 talismans at once. One evening, Li Chang'an was practicing his sword array when a familiar voice suddenly called out from outside his door. "Taoist Li, are you home?" "Eldest miss." Li Chang'an was taken aback. He immediately went to open the door. The person behind the door was none other than Xianxia, dressed in a long, turquoise gown. "Taoist Li, it's been a while." Xianxia smiled faintly, her voice pleasant. Li Chang'an nodded. After the chaos in the marketplace, he had rarely seen Xianxia. "Have you been well lately, eldest miss?" "I've been well. Without the miscellaneous affairs of the marketplace to distract me, I can focus solely on my cultivation. This is exactly the life I wanted." Xianxia replied with a smile, her tone relaxed. It seemed that losing her position as market chief hadn't affected her much. Li Chang'an invited her into the courtyard. The two sat facing each other and chatted for a moment. Then Xianxia explained the reason for her visit. "The auction is about to begin. I've come to deliver an invitation to you, Taoist Li. With this invitation you can choose a private room." "Thank you, eldest miss." Li Chang'an accepted the invitation, secretly surprised. Xianxia could still have a hand in something as important as the auction. This meant she hadn't been completely pushed out of the marketplace's center of power. "By the way, Taoist Li, do you have any items you'd like to auction?" Xianxia suddenly asked. "Well," Li Chang'an pondered for a moment. At an auction, the atmosphere is heated, and the final sale price is often a bit higher than usual. Thinking of this, he took out a dozen or so useless treasures, including the shadowless finch corpse whose essence blood had already been extracted, and handed them all to Xianxia. A shadowless finch. Xianxia was astonished. This kind of demon beast was not easy to deal with. The vast majority of late-stage of chi refining experts couldn't handle it. And Li Chang'an was only at the middle stage of chi refining. "Taoist Li, you certainly hide your abilities well." "Eldest miss, you misunderstand. I just happened to come across this shadowless finch corpse. How could I possibly have the ability to kill such a demon beast?" Li Chang'an said with a wry smile. Xianxia nodded slightly and didn't question him further. As for whether she actually believed him or not, Li Chang'an wasn't sure. A few days later, news about the auction grew more and more intense. A list of the auction items soon began to circulate. The treasures Li Chang'an had provided were listed right on it. The Zheng family actually made the auction list public again this time. Logically speaking, A normal auction would only release information about a small portion of the lots to maintain a sense of mystery and generate more discussion. But the Zhang family insisted on playing their cards unconventionally. Fine by me, I'll see if there's anything I need. Li Chang'an got a copy of the auction list and carefully looked it over from top to bottom. Soon, he locked onto a particular spirit medicine. 7-night flower, one of the auxiliary medicines for refining the foundation establishment pill. An auxiliary medicine for the foundation establishment pill had also appeared at the last auction. But at the time, Li Chang'an's strength was insufficient, and he lacked the means to conceal his identity, so he had given up on it. This time, however, he could actually make a plan for it. In total, 11 auxiliary medicines for the foundation establishment pill appeared on the list. Li Chang'an planned to acquire a few of them. As he was thinking, a knock suddenly sounded at the door. Knock, knock, knock. He had a visitor. Li Chang'an went to open the door and was surprised to find that it was Zhang Qingqing again. However, there was an unfamiliar young woman standing next to her. The young woman wore a black dress and had extremely delicate features, but her pretty face was completely expressionless. Her eyes were especially cold, as if she were an emotionless puppet. Taoist Li, this is Taoist Mo Qingsu of the puppetry Mo family. Zhang Qingqing introduced the person beside her with a smile. The puppetry Mo family. Li Chang'an was startled by her words. They were one of the 7 great noble families of the southern domain of Zhao country. These 7 great noble families were all cultivation immortality clans with core formation level combat strength. According to rumor, although the Mo family had no golden core master, they possessed a tier 3 puppet. When pushed to its limits, that tier 3 puppet was no weaker than an ordinary golden core master. Greetings, Taoist Mo. Li Chang'an didn't dare to be disrespectful and immediately invited the two into the courtyard. Faced with a behemoth like the Mo family, even the Zhang family seemed somewhat insignificant. Why would this young woman from the Mo family suddenly come looking for me? Li Chang'an couldn't figure it out. Zhang Qingqing suddenly sent a voice transmission to him, a hint of a smile in her tone. Taoist Li, don't be nervous. This is a good thing. Hearing this, Li Chang'an secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Just then, Zhang Qingqing smiled at Mo Qingsu and said, Taoist Mo, the shadowless finch demon corpse you wish to purchase is being sold by this very Taoist Li. Hearing this, Li Chang'an finally understood the reason. Mo Qingsu gave him an indifferent glance. Taoist Li, the shadowless finch demon corpse is useful to me. How about you sell it to me for the price of 500 spirit stones? I couldn't ask for more. Li Chang'an wouldn't dare refuse. After all, she was from the Mo family. Besides, the normal price for that shadowless finch corpse was only around 300 to 400 spirit stones. Mo Qingsu's offer of 500 spirit stones had clearly factored in the auction's premium. She wasn't taking advantage of him. Soon, the two parties completed the transaction. Mo Qingsu obtained the shadowless finch demon corpse. She spoke again, her tone as cold as ever. This shadowless finch was already on the auction list. By buying it from you privately, I've broken the rules and caused you to lose out a bit. As she spoke, she suddenly took out a token. She placed it in front of Li Chang'an. A deep character for Mo was engraved on the token. I reside in Yellow Crane Immortal City long-term. In the future, you can bring this token to find me, and I will help you once. Upon hearing this, joy sparked in Li Chang'an's heart. This token represented a favor. A favor from the Mo family was not something just anyone could obtain. Remember only once. Mo Qingsu reminded him in her indifferent tone. I understand. Li Chang'an clasped his hands in a salute. He understood the meaning behind Mo Qingsu's words. Their statuses and talents were worlds apart. Barring any accidents, their paths would never cross again in this lifetime. After he used this favor, they would probably never meet again. Therefore, when Li Chang'an decided to use this favor, he had to be extremely cautious. Chapter 75, Golden Core Seed. Mo Qingsu said nothing more. With a cold expression, she turned and left. Zhang Qingqing, however, stayed behind. She smiled at Li Chang'an and said, Congratulations, Taoist Li. You've just earned a favor from the future matriarch of the Mo family. Oh? Li Chang'an was stunned. He had already guessed that Mo Qingsu's status was high. But Zhang Qingqing's words still exceeded his expectation. Taoist Li, Mo Qingsu's talent far surpasses yours or mine. Not only does she possess a top-grade spirit root, but it's also an extremely special ice spirit root. Her cultivation speed far exceeds that of an ordinary top-grade spirit root. Zheng Qingqing explained with a smile. In the cultivation immortality realm, the most common spiritual roots were of the 5 elements attribute. Occasionally, special attributes would appear, such as the wind spirit root, the thunder spirit root, and Mo Qingsu's ice spirit root. The owners of these spiritual roots often had extremely fast cultivation speeds. Take Mo Qingsu, for example. She could have reached foundation establishment several years ago. However, the Mo family's old ancestor demanded that she continue to build her foundation and temper herself further, forcibly suppressing her cultivation progress and not allowing her to advance too quickly. In the eyes of the current Mo family's old ancestor, she isn't just a foundation establishment seed, but a golden core seed. Her foundation must be exceptionally solid. I see. Li Chang'an lamented to himself. You really can't compare one person to another. After so many years of cultivation, he was still lingering at the qi refining 5th layer. Meanwhile, Mo Qingsu was younger, but already had 1 foot through the door to foundation establishment. With her talent, reaching core formation was uncertain, but failing to reach foundation establishment was almost impossible. In other words, this token Li Chang'an held could, at the very least, be exchanged for a foundation establishment, cultivator taking action for him once. Taoist Li, you must use this favor carefully. I understand. Li Chang'an nodded and picked up the token from the table. Just then, Zheng Lingfeng's voice suddenly rang out from outside the door. Zheng Qingqing, where is Taoist Mo? His expression was anxious, and his tone was urgent. Zheng Qingqing turned around and said with a light laugh, Taoist Mo has already returned to the immortal city. You can save your energy. Damn it. Zheng Lingfeng gritted his teeth. He had wanted Mo Qingsu to stay so he could find a chance to build a connection with her, hoping he might win the favor of the Mo family's prodigious young lady. But now it was all for nothing. After missing this chance, seeing Mo Qingsu again would be next to impossible. Suddenly, his expression froze. He had spotted the Mo family token in Li Chang'an's hand. Li Chang'an actually got a favor from the Mo family. In that instant, an intense killing intent mixed with unspeakable jealousy surged in Zheng Lingfeng's heart, making him almost lose control. He took a deep breath and managed to keep his composure. Since Taoist Mo has already left, I'll be heading back now. Zheng Lingfeng forcefully suppressed all his emotions, turned and walked away. He did not return to the 100 Affairs Hall. Instead, he went to where Zhu Gang lived, intending to urge him to take down Li Chang'an immediately. However, no matter how much he called out, there was no response from the residents. Zheng Lingfeng's brows furrowed tightly. A bad feeling rose in his heart. Could it be that Zhu Gang was also killed by Li Chang'an? Logically speaking, Zhu Gang had decades more life experience than Li Chang'an and was an old fox. He shouldn't have let his plot be seen through by Li Chang'an. Did some other accident happen? Zheng Lingfeng couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he thought. In fact, Li Chang'an hadn't seen through the plot. Without the hint from his divination, he would have still been able to kill Zhu Gang in a counterattack, but it would have been a vicious battle. Meanwhile, back in the residence, Zheng Qingqing was reminding Li Chang'an. Taoist Li, Zheng Lingfeng is narrow-minded and will probably look for a chance to move against you. I know you have puppets for protection, but you mustn't be careless. Rest assured, Miss Zheng. After talking for a while longer, Zheng Qingqing took her leave. Li Chang'an closed the courtyard gate and continued practicing the small Yimyu sword array. Over the next few days, his mastery of the sword array path grew higher and higher, and he gradually touched the threshold of the great success stage. Li Chang'an suddenly had a feeling. The 9 swords array at the great success stage didn't seem to be the limit. Since it's called the small Yimyu sword array, could there be a great Yiwood sword array? He thought about it and felt that there probably was. That great Yiwood sword array might even be an earth grade or even celestial grade magic. However, a magic of that grade was simply too far out of reach for the current Li Chang'an. He shook his head, put away his thoughts, and continued to practice. Before he knew it, the date of the auction was approaching. During this time, Zheng Lingfeng had been in a terrible mood. He had looked for Zhu Gang several times but couldn't find him. So he went to ask some of Zhu Gang's friends, and learned that Zhu Gang hadn't appeared at any of the recent small trade fairs. It seems he really was killed by Li Chang'an. Zhang Lingfeng pressed his forehead, an inexplicable frustration rising in his heart. The successive failures didn't make him feel defeated. Instead, they only intensified his killing intent. But if even Zhu Gang couldn't deal with Li Chang'an, who could? He himself is at the late stage of qi refining and has several Tier 1 late-stage spirit beasts to assist him. How could he possibly fail to take down Li Chang'an? Zhang Lingfeng simply couldn't understand. Even in a head-on battle, Zhu Gang's strength should have been enough to crush Li Chang'an. Besides, Zhu Gang had the advantage of a premeditated plot against an unsuspecting target. He had been scheming in the dark the whole time. Li Chang'an's residence is protected by an array. Zhu Gang couldn't possibly have been stupid enough to fight him inside his own home, right? The more Zhang Lingfeng thought about it, the more frustrated he became. He had reminded Zhu Gang long ago. He had to lure Li Chang'an out of his residence, better yet, out of the marketplace, before making a move. They're all useless. Zhang Lingfeng couldn't help but curse in anger. At that moment, an old and kindly voice spoke up. Lingfeng, what happened? Why are you so agitated? Grandfather. Zhang Lingfeng was stunned for a moment. Then a look of pleasant surprise quickly appeared on his face. The one who had spoken was none other than his grandfather, Zhang Songcheng, one of the Zhang family's elders and a qi refining peak expert. Grandfather, I'm trying to take down a cultivator, but I keep failing. Zhang Lingfeng didn't hide anything, explaining his thoughts in detail. After listening, Zhang Songcheng shook his head with a smile. Lingfeng, with your status, you should act like a king, not resort to secret plots. Such methods are beneath you. Grandfather, then what should I do? This matter is not difficult. Zhang Songcheng's tone was relaxed. The method he proposed was quite simple. That Li Chang'an is merely a loose cultivator. Just go to his home, overwhelm him with your power, and force him into submission. His words were full of confidence, as if he hadn't even considered the possibility of failure. As one of the strongest elders in the Zhang family, he had every right to be confident when dealing with a loose cultivator like Li Chang'an, who was his inferior in both status and strength. But Zhang Lingfeng was a little worried. Grandfather, Li Chang'an's residence is protected by an array, most likely a Tier 1 peak array. If I go, I won't get anywhere. What's there to be afraid of? There are plenty of ways to break an array. Zhang Songcheng was dismissive, feeling that Zhang Lingfeng was overthinking things. He patted Zhang Lingfeng's shoulder. Fine, I'll make the trip for you. Chapter 76, Hide for a Lifetime. In the courtyard, a thought flashed through Li Chang'an's mind. 9 streams of sword qi shot out in unison, their might astonishing, their sharp edges fully revealed. They were just about to form a sword array. But suddenly, one of the streams of sword qi trembled and lost its stability. The flow of qi between it and the other 8 streams instantly fell into disarray. The entire sword array failed before it could even take shape. Still a little off. Li Chang'an sighed softly, and with a casual wave of his hand, dispersed the 9 streams of sword qi. He swallowed a few elixir pills. He pondered as he recovered. In truth, his current progress was already quite fast. According to the records in the small Yimu sword array, most ordinary cultivators needed several months just to reach the entry level, and several years to reach minor achievement. But in less than half a month, Li Chang'an had already touched the threshold of great success. Such talent was nothing short of astounding. Furthermore, every failure brought him closer to success. A few more days, and I should be able to succeed. Li Chang'an thought to himself. Just then, Da Huang suddenly appeared and rapidly wrote a line of characters with its paw. Oh, Zhang Lingfeng's grandfather, Zhang Songcheng, has appeared and is heading toward my residence. Li Chang'an was slightly surprised. He had interrogated Zhang Jinbao before, so he had a relatively clear understanding of the Zhang family's internal members. This Zhang Songcheng's magical combat strength was extremely high. It was said that he had once attempted foundation establishment and had been on the verge of success. But at the critical moment, a traitor had suddenly appeared within the Zhang family and interfered with his foundation establishment. This man's strength is not to be underestimated. I must handle him with care. Li Chang'an did not let his guard down. His current strength was indeed great, but there was always someone stronger. What if this Zhang Songcheng was also an old turtle hiding his true depth? He had to be on guard. Li Chang'an immediately pushed the two arrays to their maximum operational capacity, hiding himself deep within them and leaving only a puppet body behind. Before long, Zhang Songcheng arrived outside the residence. "Li, this old man, Zhang Songcheng, has a matter to discuss with you." He spoke slowly, his tone laced with a hint of arrogance and confidence. As soon as the words left his mouth, the courtyard gate opened on its own. "Elder Zhang, please come in." Li Chang'an's voice echoed from the courtyard. His puppet body did not step out to greet him. "This old man will come in then." Zhang Songcheng was full of confidence and felt no worry. He took a step, preparing to enter the courtyard. But, in that very instant, his heart suddenly tightened, the hairs on his body stood on end, and he sensed a wisp of death's aura. "What's going on?" A flash of shock crossed Zhang Songcheng's old eyes, and his outstretched foot froze in place. He had learned from Zhang Lingfeng that Li Chang'an's residence was protected by an array. But he hadn't paid it any mind. Because his foundation was deep, built upon years of accumulation. He had long since gathered a variety of array-breaking methods. He possessed not only breaking charms in a small forbidden array, but also an array-breaking pestle, a magical artifact specifically refined for breaking arrays, and a forbidden spirit pearl, a natural treasure that could disrupt the flow of spiritual power within an array. He could shatter any array below Tier 2 with a wave of his hand. Logically speaking, he shouldn't be feeling this heart-pounding terror right now. Could it be that the array surrounding Li Chang'an's residence is a Tier 2 array? Zhang Songcheng stared at the residence before him, motionless for a long time, an unbelievable thought rising in his mind. How could a mere middle stage of Qi refining cultivator possibly obtain a Tier 2 array? From the courtyard, Li Chang'an's surprised voice called out, "Elder Zhang, why haven't you come in yet? This junior has prepared some fine tea for you." Hearing this, Zhang Songcheng's expression flickered. He had boasted to his grandson that he would definitely take Li Chang'an down. But now, he didn't even dare to step into Li Chang'an's courtyard. The residence before him was like a terrifying beast with its great maw wide open, waiting to devour him just as it had devoured who knows how many others. He had intended to overwhelm the other with his sheer presence. But before even seeing Li Chang'an in person, his own aura had already weakened a notch. What did he have left to suppress him with? "Elder Zhang, what are you doing just standing outside? If others were to see, they would likely think I'm a poor host." Li Chang'an's puppet body slowly walked to the edge of the doorway and met Zhang Songcheng's gaze. The two of them, one inside the courtyard, one outside, separated only by the thin courtyard gate. Li Chang'an's figure was slight and his strength ordinary, yet the aura he projected showed faint signs of overpowering Zhang Songcheng's. Zhang Songcheng, wary at heart, stared at him vigilantly and spoke via voice transmission. "Li, this old man came here for one reason only." "Oh, and what might that be?" Li Chang'an also replied via voice transmission. "This old man wants you to support Ling Feng's foundation establishment." "Elder Zhang, you must be joking." Li Chang'an shook his head slightly and added, "This junior is but a loose cultivator. How could I possibly support the second young master's foundation establishment? This is an internal matter of the Zhang family, something this junior would never dare to interfere in." "No, this old man knows you dare." Zhang Songcheng's tone changed, a harsh glint appearing in his eyes. The aura around him surged. The full power of his Qi refining ninth layer cultivation was unleashed without reservation, a terrifying pressure rushing straight toward Li Chang'an. An ordinary middle stage of Qi refining cultivator, faced with his powerful presence, would likely be crushed to the point they couldn't even lift their head. But Li Chang'an remained at ease. "Elder Zhang, you hesitate to enter, so you must have realized my residence has an array. Do you truly believe your aura alone can overwhelm an entire grand array? Li Chang'an, do you think you can hide in your array for the rest of your life?" Zhang Songcheng's tone shifted again, his voice turning icy and filling with killing intent. Faced with this undisguised threat, Li Chang'an simply smiled. "And why not?" he said with a light-hearted laugh. "You may not know this, Elder Zhang, but I have enough food and drink stored in my storage pouch to last me for 100 years. I don't mind hiding in my array at all." "You?" Zhang Songcheng's face twitched, and he felt a sense of absurdity. What normal person would store 100 years worth of food? But for some reason, he felt that Li Chang'an wasn't lying. Hiding under the protection of an array all day, what's the difference between you and a turtle? Hearing this, Li Chang'an was unconcerned. There's nothing wrong with being a turtle. Zhang Songcheng stared at him coldly and sent another voice transmission. Li Chang'an, you still have a choice now. Once Ling Feng succeeds in his foundation establishment, it will be too late for you to choose. At that time, you will be the first one to be dealt with. Elder Zhang, foundation establishment is difficult. You shouldn't speak with such certainty. Li Chang'an remained completely unmoved, letting the threats and pressure wash over him. Even his tone of voice barely changed. In the end, Zhang Songcheng was truly out of options. He had no choice but to leave. Take care, Elder Zhang. Li Chang'an chuckled softly and cupped his hands in a gesture of farewell. Afterward, he closed the courtyard gate and let out a soft breath. He had to admit that Zhang Songcheng's personal strength was indeed formidable, and his presence was immense. He was truly worthy of being someone who had nearly achieved foundation establishment success. Li Chang'an felt that if he hadn't obtained the Thundercloud Annihilation Array, the Cloud Mist Hidden Killing Array alone would most likely not have been enough to stop the old man. However, even if the array couldn't stop him, he still had other methods. It's good that he left. If he had tried to force his way through the array, it would have been quite troublesome. Li Chang'an mused silently. This was the Zhang family's marketplace, after all, and Zhang Songcheng was one of the core members of the Zhang family. Even if he had really barged into the array, it would have been difficult for Li Chang'an to kill him. If I ended up luring out a foundation establishment ancestor, I'd have to forfeit my own life. It was just that. Zhang Songcheng hadn't dared to take the gamble. He considered himself a person of high status and great authority, and his life was far more precious than Li Chang'an's. He was unwilling to trade his life for Li Chang'an's. Li Chang'an had precisely grasped this mentality, which was why he had been able to handle him with such ease. Da Huang, keep a close eye on that old man. Woof! Da Huang responded with a bark and immediately gave chase. Li Chang'an stood in the courtyard. He continued to practice the small Yimou sword array. Zhang Songcheng's earlier words had not been entirely without effect on him. After all, if Zhang Lingfeng really did achieve foundation establishment success, he would most likely come to settle accounts with Li Chang'an first thing. A faint sense of urgency grew in Li Chang'an's heart. Sword array rise. He continuously executed the sword formation technique, failing again and again without a moment's rest. If his magical power ran low, he would swallow elixir pills. He tried again and again. Before he knew it, the night had deepened. An unknown amount of time passed. When Li Chang'an once again sent out the 9 streams of sword qi, they did not fall into disarray. The flows of qi pulled at one another and actually formed a perfect array. Finally, a look of joy appeared on Li Chang'an's face, and he let out a long breath. The small Yimou sword array, great success. Chapter 77, Finding Another Treasure. Li Chang'an dispersed the sword array, then once again condensed 9 streams of sword qi. This time the sword array formed just as smoothly. A smile graced his face as he confirmed he had cultivated the small Yimou sword array to the great success stage. Cultivating this quickly can't be explained by talent alone. Li Chang'an mused. He himself found this rate of progress incredible. It could only mean that the small Yimou sword array itself was a perfect fit for him. It was as if it had been tailor-made for him. After this, he used 9 spirit sword talismans to form a one-time sword array and test its power. Boom! The moment the sword array appeared, its might was astounding, even shaking the Thundercloud Annihilation Array slightly. Li Chang'an looked startled and hastily dispersed the sword array. The small Yimou sword array at great success, combined with spirit sword talismans. Its power is truly terrifying. After all, a single spirit sword talisman, as a high-quality top-grade talisman, could release sword qi capable of threatening a qi-refining 9th layer cultivator. When 9 talismans formed a sword array, the power they released was far greater than the simple sum of the 9 talismans. It faintly surpassed the level of qi refining. Once this sword array is unleashed, I'm afraid few below the foundation establishment stage could withstand it. Li Chang'an contemplated. In terms of pure destructive power, neither his 2 high-quality puppets nor his 2 spirit beasts could compare to the sword array formed from 9 talismans. Now I have the sword array for offense, puppets for defense, and my escape technique is almost a great success. My combat methods are quite well-rounded. The 3 aspects Li Chang'an had initially envisioned, offense, defense, and escape, were now basically fulfilled. Even without a protective array, he would be hard-pressed to find a match among those below foundation establishment. However, this is just one small step for now. The road ahead is still long. Li Chang'an secretly reminded himself. Until I reach foundation establishment, I'm nothing but an ant. I can't let my guard down. Just then, a golden light appeared before his eyes. Divination has been refreshed. Today's divination, Auspicious. You will go to the auction, buy a seemingly ordinary Tier 1 middle-grade talisman brush, and after crushing its outer layer, you will obtain a Tier 2 talisman brush. A Tier 2 talisman brush. Li Chang'an's eyes lit up, so you really can find hidden gems at an auction. However, the way to get this hidden gem struck him as a bit strange. A Tier 2 talisman brush, hidden inside a Tier 1 talisman brush, had somehow gone undiscovered. I have to go to the auction to snag that talisman brush, and while I'm at it, I'll buy a few auxiliary medicines for the foundation establishment pill. Li Chang'an planned silently. But my real body doesn't have to go. I'll send a few puppets over to buy things separately. It's safer that way. The next day, as soon as the sky brightened, the entire marketplace was already bustling with activity. Countless people were discussing the auction. Some hoped the items they had submitted would fetch a good price, while others hoped to buy the treasures they had their eyes on. There are so many people, far more than last time. Li Chang'an arrived at the scene, marveling inwardly. For this auction, he had deployed a total of 5 Tier 1 middle-grade puppets, created 5 different identities for them, and had them sit in different locations at the venue. Before long, the auction began. The host of the auction was, surprisingly, Xianxia. He walked onto the stage with a smile and said a few words to get things started. Soon, the first auction item was brought to the stage. A Tier 1 top-grade elixir, the explosive spirit pill. This item was none other than the Zhang family's exclusive elixir pill. After consuming it, a cultivator could erupt with power far exceeding their current cultivation. Of course, this kind of outburst was damaging to the body. It shouldn't be used unless one was in a desperate situation. Everyone, we have a total of 10 explosive spirit pills here. The starting bid for each pill is 30 spirit stones, and each bid increment must be no less than 1 spirit stone. The moment Zhang Songcheng's voice fell, someone immediately called out a price of 33 spirit stones. After that, people continued to raise the price. The atmosphere on site grew increasingly fervent. Although this elixir pill is harmful to the body, it could save your life at a critical moment. Compared to one's life, a little physical damage is nothing. Li Chang'an listened to the bids rising and falling around him, thinking to himself. Soon, the 10 explosive spirit pills were sold. Because there were so many items, the entire auction moved at a very fast pace. Items were brought to the stage, one after another. About a quarter of an hour later, a peculiar spirit plant, jet black with 7 petals, appeared before everyone. The 7-night flower. Many people's spirits lifted as they stared at the black spirit flower. On stage, Zhang Songcheng said with a smile, "Everyone, I don't think I need to introduce this 7-night flower too much, do I? I'm sure you all know the pill formula for the foundation establishment pill by heart." Below the stage, the eyes of many people burned with fervor and their breathing grew ragged. The 7-night flower was one of the auxiliary medicines for the foundation establishment pill. Zhang Songcheng didn't waste any words and started the bidding directly. Starting price is 150 spirit stones. Each bid increment must be no less than 5 spirit stones. He had just finished speaking when someone below eagerly shouted a bid. 160 spirit stones. 170. 100. The price soared, quickly surpassing 200 spirit stones. Li Chang'an was not in a hurry. He waited quietly. After the price exceeded 250, the number of bidders dwindled significantly. After all, it was only one of the auxiliary medicines, not one of the 3 rare main ingredients. Even if they couldn't buy it here, there was still hope of finding it elsewhere in the future. When the price reached 300, there were only a few bidders left. 330. The puppet controlled by Chang'an spoke up at this moment, joining the competition. He immediately raised the bid by 30 spirit stones, a clear show of confidence. Hearing this, the few other bidders hesitated. After a moment, one of them grit their teeth and bid again. 340. Chang'an followed without hesitation. 350 spirit stones. An unwilling expression crossed that person's face. Their mouth opened and closed as if they still wanted to bid, looking extremely conflicted. In the end, they didn't speak again. Chang'an successfully won the 7-night flower. That went rather smoothly. The corners of Chang'an's mouth lifted slightly, his mood excellent. After this, another quarter of an hour passed. The second auxiliary medicine for the Foundation establishment pill appeared. It was a spirit medicine called Jade fruit, which was not as valuable as the 7-night flower. In the end, Chang'an won it for the price of 230 spirit stones. Of course, this time, he used a different puppet body. Not long after, an unremarkable talisman brush was brought to the stage by an attendant. Xianxia introduced it. This talisman brush is Tier 1 middle grade. It was discovered by a fellow cultivator in a secret realm. The starting bid is 100 spirit stones. Many treasures that came from secret realms had special effects. But this talisman brush looked far too ordinary, so much so that there were very few bidders. After all, there weren't many talisman masters in the marketplace to begin with. Soon, Chang'an won the talisman brush with a bid of 160 spirit stones. This should be the one, there's no mistake. He thought to himself. It was the only talisman brush on the entire auction list. Chapter 78. Chapter 78. Primary ingredient of the Foundation establishment pill. The auction continued until dusk before finally ending. During that time, Chang'an had successfully bid on a total of 8 auxiliary medicines for the Foundation establishment pill. The most expensive was the 7-night flower. The cheapest was a medicinal liquid called cyan bamboo liquid, which only cost 60 spirit stones. I spent over 1,000 spirit stones in total, which is within my budget. Although the Foundation establishment pill required many auxiliary medicines, the vast majority were cheap and easy to obtain. Only a few were particularly rare. After the auction concluded, Chang'an recalled his 5 puppets and stored all his new purchases in his storage pouch. This talisman brush is strange. No matter how I look at it, it just seems like an ordinary Tier 1 middle grade talisman brush. He took out the talisman brush and examined it closely. By now, Chang'an was no longer the destitute, low-level loose cultivator he once was. Over the years, he had handled numerous Tier 1 top-grade magical artifacts, and his discerning eye far surpassed that of most cultivators at his level. Yet at this moment, he couldn't see anything special about this brush at all. If not for the hint from his divination, he most likely would have missed out on it. The amount of magical power it can handle is no different from a regular middle-grade talisman brush either. Chang'an shook his head slightly and gave up on his inspection. He gripped the talisman brush and applied a bit of force. With his current physical strength, crushing a talisman brush wasn't difficult. With a crack, a network of fine cracks instantly appeared on the brush's surface, like chapped skin. Immediately after, the black outer fragments trickled off, revealing a jade-green layer beneath. Just as I thought, there was another talisman brush hidden inside. Chang'an gave it a sharp shake, dislodging all the surface fragments. The Tier 2 talisman brush within was immediately revealed before his eyes. The brush was jade green all over, with a smooth and lustrous surface, as if carved from fine jade. At its end were inscribed the 4 words, Clear Heart Talisman Brush. Clear Heart Talisman Brush. Chang'an's gaze flickered as he examined the entire brush in detail. After a moment, he entered the borrowed state, held the brush, and channeled his magical power into it, attempting to paint a talisman. The instant his magical power flowed in, a faint force fed back from the brush. In a flash, Chang'an felt his mind clear, and his chaotic thoughts diminished significantly. This brush actually has a calm heart and peaceful mind effect. Chang'an was surprised, as expected of a Tier 2 talisman brush that came from a secret realm. This effect could help a talisman master quickly enter a state of complete focus. Then, he began to try talisman painting. The entire process felt divinely guided, as smooth as flowing water, unimaginably fluid. He felt no difficulty whatsoever. It's this easy. Li Chang'an grew even more astonished. His current state was indescribably good. He even felt he could try to challenge a Tier 2 talisman. Unfortunately, he had not yet obtained a Tier 2 talismanic inheritance. I've really struck gold this time. Li Chang'an stared at the talisman brush in his hand, growing happier the more he looked at it. Next, he painted more than 10 high-quality top-grade talismans in one go. Only then did he stop to rest for a moment. This brush also seems to share some of the mental strain. I don't even feel that tired right now. Li Chang'an was all smiles, his mood excellent. The spirit stones spent on this talisman brush were absolutely worth it. For the next few months, Li Chang'an began the 6th stage of body refining. His days were primarily spent cultivating, practicing body refinement, and painting talismans, with occasional correspondence with Su Fugui in Yellow Crane Immortal City. Recently, Li Chang'an had asked Su Fugui to keep an eye out for elixir pills and treasures that could help a demon beast break through to Tier 2, and to inform him immediately if he heard any news. Da Huang had already grown to Tier 1 peak. The next step was to become a Tier 2 Great Demon, a being comparable to a human race foundation establishment Great Cultivator. But this step was incredibly difficult to cross, no less so than foundation establishment itself. If Da Huang can break through successfully, I'll essentially have a guardian with a foundation establishment cultivation. My own path to foundation establishment will become much easier. Li Chang'an mused. He knew this step was difficult, and for now it was just a thought. He wouldn't let Da Huang risk the breakthrough without sufficient treasures. Just like human race cultivators, if a demon beast failed its breakthrough, it would suffer a backlash and could die on the spot. The profound water turtle hasn't reached Tier 1 peak yet, but it's growing extremely fast. After all, it has a rare Earth-grade bloodline. Maybe it will be the one to break through to Tier 2 first. A demon beast with an Earth-grade bloodline, even without using any treasures, had a high probability of breaking through to Tier 2 as long as it grew up safely. Unless it was incredibly unlucky, it wouldn't fail. Li Chang'an was now pinning more of his hopes on the profound water turtle. Just tell me what you want to eat, don't be shy. He smiled and patted the profound water turtle's head. The profound water turtle understood his meaning. It had been cultivating diligently recently, absorbing the heaven and earth spiritual power, and doing its best to tap into its own bloodline potential, never once slacking off. That night, midnight, a new divination appeared before Li Chang'an's eyes. Divination has been refreshed. Today's divination, Auspicious. You go to the black market to sell talismans. While there, you clash with Zheng family elder Xianxia. You kill him outside the black market and discover Dream Soul Grass, a main ingredient for the foundation establishment pill, in his storage pouch. A main ingredient for the foundation establishment pill. Li Chang'an's eyes widened, and his calm was instantly shattered. The pill formula for the foundation establishment pill listed 3 main ingredients: blood dragon vine, purple jade ginseng, and dream soul grass. These 3 spirit medicines corresponded to a cultivator's 3 aspects of essence, qi, and divine, and each one was extremely precious. Li Chang'an had originally thought it would be impossible to obtain these 3 spirit medicine in Chang'an marketplace. But now, a rare opportunity had presented itself right before his eyes. Huff! Li Chang'an took several deep breaths, forcibly suppressing his excitement. After all, the treasure wasn't in his hands yet. He had to calm down. To think Zheng Songcheng's storage pouch would have dream soul grass, it was most likely prepared for Zheng Lingfeng. Li Chang'an stared at the divination's text, thinking to himself, if this battle went smoothly, not only would he take a huge step forward on his own path to foundation establishment, but he could also slow down Zheng Lingfeng's progress. According to the divination, the battle takes place outside the black market. I must be fully prepared and not get careless. Previously, Li Chang'an had been able to eliminate Zhu Gang so easily entirely because he had the help of an array. Zheng Songcheng was a much more troublesome enemy than Zhu Gang. He was, after all, an elder of a foundation establishment family. His resources and background were bound to be much deeper than Zhu Gang's. And without the aid of an array, Li Chang'an would have to be doubly cautious if he wanted to deal with Zhang Songcheng. The next day, Li Chang'an disguised his aura and headed straight for the black market. As usual, he waited outside the black market and controlled his speed-specialized puppet to enter and sell some of the talismans he had accumulated recently. After that, he did not leave, but began to wander around inside the black market. When will Zhang Songcheng arrive? Li Chang'an wondered, keeping a constant watch on his surroundings. Chapter 79. Chapter 79. It's not like I haven't killed before. In a valley outside the black market, a great battle had just ended. Zhang Songcheng, you despicable villain, I was clearly the one who found the dream soul grass first. You ignored all ethics and stole it by force. How are you any different from a tribulation cultivator? Deep within the valley, a cultivator covered in blood roared furiously. Zhang Songcheng's expression was cold, as he casually unleashed a fire dragon roar. Boom! The cultivator let out a pained scream as the fire dragon consumed him, extinguishing his presence completely. Zhang Songcheng made a casual gesture, and the man's storage pouch flew into his hand. The dream soul grass is here, just as I thought. A smile appeared on Zhang Songcheng's old face. He summoned a messenger spirit bird. He instructed it, fly back to the marketplace at once. Tell Ling Feng that I have successfully seized the dream soul grass for him. The spirit bird nodded, spread its wings, and flew swiftly toward the marketplace. Zhang Songcheng, for his part, headed toward the black market. In that battle, my magical artifact was damaged. I need to go buy some treasures to repair it. Inside the black market, Li Chang'an was squatting in front of a stall, haggling with the owner. A moment later, he bought the treasure he had his eye on, then got up and continued to browse. Before long, he stopped at another stall, his gaze fixed on a crystal stone. The crystal stone was fiery red all over, like a solidified inferno. Its surface temperature was astonishing, and the very air around it seemed to shimmer and distort. Is this a flaming profound crystal? Fellow Taoist, you have a keen eye. The stall owner smiled, and immediately began his sales pitch to Li Chang'an. He had obtained this flaming profound crystal in a secret realm. Its quality was extremely high, with almost no impurities. It was a perfect material for a Tier 1 top-grade fire attribute magical artifact. But Li Chang'an didn't need a fire element magical artifact. The only reason he was interested in the flaming profound crystal was for his body refinement. I'll need this kind of crystal stone for the 7th stage of body refinement. He picked up the flaming profound crystal and inspected it. He confirmed the stall owner's claims were true. The quality really is quite good. Afterward, he began haggling with the owner, eventually bringing the price down to 120 spirit stones. The stall owner had a pained expression. Fellow Taoist, you sure know how to bargain. You managed to cut the price down to 60% of my asking price, almost cut it in half. What can I say? I don't have many spirit stones on me. Li Chang'an smiled and took the spirit stones out of his storage pouch. He was just about to complete the transaction by signing a spirit contract with the stall owner. But just at that moment, an old voice sounded from behind him. I'll take that flaming profound crystal, 130 spirit stones. As soon as the words fell, a man in a black robe walked over. He casually tossed out a cloth pouch full of spirit stones, then made a grasping motion toward the flaming profound crystal from a distance. The flaming profound crystal on the stall immediately flew up, heading toward his hand. Hold on! With quick reflexes, Li Chang'an instantly slammed his hand down on the flaming profound crystal. His eyes flickered as he sized up the black-robed man. From the voice just now, he had already recognized the identity of the black-robed man. Zhang Songcheng. This old fellow was perhaps so confident in his own strength that he hadn't bothered to alter his voice or aura. He hadn't even covered his face, merely draped himself in a black robe. He didn't seem worried about being recognized. Li Chang'an gave him a cup fist salute. Fellow Taoist, there's a principle of first come, first served. I've already agreed on a price for this flaming profound crystal. Isn't it a bit out of line for you to just jump in like this? First come, first served. I'm not aware of any such rule. Zhang Songcheng replied indifferently, clearly not taking Li Chang'an seriously. Li Chang'an had intentionally suppressed this puppet body's aura, revealing only the cultivation of a middle stage of qi refining cultivator. In Zhang Songcheng's eyes, A cultivator at this level was no different from an ant. Hearing this, Li Chang'an feigned anger. His tone turned icy, tinged with a hint of a threat. Fellow Taoist, are you determined to fight me for this flaming profound crystal? Fight you? You think you're worthy? Zhang Songcheng's attitude was unyielding and utterly domineering. Their dispute quickly drew the attention of many onlookers. Since Zhang Songcheng hadn't concealed his identity, he was recognized immediately. That black-robed cultivator is the Zhang family's elder, Zhang Songcheng. He's a master at the qi refining peak. Who is that person across from him to dare argue with him? He doesn't look very strong, only at the middle stage of qi refining. Maybe he's hiding his true power. Looks like a fight is about to break out. All around, many people grew secretly alarmed and quietly retreated behind others. In this region, as long as no foundation establishment cultivators appeared, the qi refining ninth layer reigned supreme. Once an expert of that caliber made a move, the consequences would be unimaginable. Get back! Fearing they would be caught in the crossfire, the surrounding stall owners hurriedly packed up the treasures on their stalls and backed away as well. Only the stall owner selling the flaming profound crystal dared not leave. His face was pale as he hurriedly tried to mediate. Fellow Taoists, our path of cultivation is not an easy one. Why must we resort to fighting and killing? We should value peace. But neither Li Chang'an nor Zhang Songcheng seemed to hear him. The auras of the two clashed like spearheads, neither willing to back down. Zhang Songcheng looked at Li Chang'an with indifference, as if gazing upon a dead man. You've heard who I am, yet you still dare to oppose me. You've got some nerve. Li Chang'an suddenly let out a strange cackle. Kakek. So what if you're a Zhang family elder? My big brother has killed one of you before. What? Zhang Songcheng's gaze turned deathly cold, his killing intent flaring violently. He glared at Li Chang'an, his fire element magical power surging as he prepared to strike. At that moment, an ancient voice suddenly echoed from the depths of the black market. If you're going to fight, take it outside. Don't disrupt business. Fine. Li Chang'an moved with lightning speed, snatching the flaming profound crystal into his storage pouch and tossing out 120 spirit stones. He then transformed into a streak of light, vanishing from the black market in the blink of an eye. Behind him, seething with killing intent, Zhang Songcheng gave chase relentlessly. One chasing the other at incredible speed, they soon left the marketplace far behind and disappeared from everyone's view. That guy just said his big brother killed a Zhang family elder. Could he be from Black Wind Mountain? Hard to say. The Zhang family has lost quite a few elders over the years. The crowd buzzed with discussion, speculating about Li Chang'an's identity. Meanwhile, Li Chang'an was fleeing at top speed. This puppet of his was a high-quality top-grade puppet specializing in speed. Enhanced by talismans, the pursuing Zhang Songcheng wouldn't be able to catch up anytime soon. Radiating killing intent, Zhang Songcheng shouted, "Junior, didn't you want to fight me? Why are you running?" "Old fool, I'm just picking out a good burial spot for you." Li Chang'an sneered, continuing to provoke Zhang Songcheng. Sure enough, Zhang Songcheng's killing intent surged, and he accelerated, rapidly closing the distance. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before Zhang Songcheng caught up to him. Suddenly, a nearly invisible long needle materialized and shot toward the back of his pursuer's head. "You dare try a sneak attack?" Zhang Songcheng roared, unleashing a wave of magical power that knocked the ghost soul needle away. This was all within Li Chang'an's expectations. A sneak attack was useless, just as I thought. After all, even the sixth chieftain of Black Wind Mountain had been able to dodge his sneak attack. Chapter 80, Zhang Songcheng's shock. Li Chang'an hadn't expected the sneak attack to succeed. He was just trying his luck, thinking it would be great if it worked. If not, then so be it. We are far enough from the black market now. Li Chang'an calculated the distance, stopped his escape, and turned to face Zhang Songcheng. He summoned a magical artifact, seemingly preparing for a direct confrontation. Behind him, Zhang Songcheng also came to a halt. His face was filled with killing intent as he stared fixedly at Li Chang'an. "Done running, are you?" "Why should I run?" Li Chang'an sneered and gestured to their surroundings. "This place has excellent feng shui. It's the perfect spot for your grave. Still talking tough when you're about to die." Enraged, Zhang Songcheng waved his hand, and a crimson longsword instantly flew out of his storage pouch. It was his magical artifact, the fire dragon sword. Junior Dai. Zhang Songcheng formed hand seals, his fire element magical power surging as he prepared to cast a magic with his longsword. But just then, his heart suddenly clenched, and the hair on his body stood on end, as if something terrifying was about to befall him. The next instant, Li Chang'an's true body appeared behind him. Sword array activate. His gaze was glacial as he pointed a finger. 9 spirit sword talismans ignited in unison, releasing 9 astonishing streams of sword chi that formed a terrifying sword array. Swoosh! The sword array transformed into a phantom image and tore through the sky. In a mere instant, it was right behind Zhang Songcheng. Not good. Zhang Songcheng's expression changed drastically. He could smell the stench of death. His reaction was swift. After all, he was one of the Zhang family's strongest elders in magical combat. In an instant, he summoned an oval shield to block the attack from behind. This shield was a life-saving treasure bestowed upon him by the Zhang family's foundation establishment ancestor. Its materials were extraordinary, and it was originally meant to be refined into a Tier 2 spiritual artifact. However, something went wrong during the refining process, causing its tier to fall short of the requirement. It was stronger than a Tier 1 magical artifact, but not quite Tier 2. Even so, it was still quite impressive. The Zhang family's ancestor had once said that below foundation establishment, there was almost no technique that could break this shield. Boom! The talisman sword array instantly slammed into the shield, the sound shaking the heavens and earth. Savage power erupted, threatening to annihilate everything. A moment later, shocking cracks appeared on the shield's surface. It clearly couldn't hold. Impossible. Zhang Songcheng's face was a mask of shock. This is a life-saving tool given to me by the Foundation Establishment ancestor. How could a chi-refining cultivator possibly break it? But soon, the shock on his face turned to terror. Because in the distance, Li Chang'an took out another 9 spirit sword talismans. Go! Li Chang'an's voice was frigid as he activated the 9 talismans. He gave Zhang Songcheng no chance to breathe. The power of the first sword array had not yet dissipated when the second one followed close behind, slamming into the shield once more. Boom! The shield shuddered violently and instantly shattered. No! Zhang Songcheng was utterly horrified. His figure shot backward. He frantically threw out one defensive magical artifact after another and activated countless defense talismans, trying to block the 2 sword arrays. But all his efforts were like tissue paper before the 2 terrifying sword arrays. They were instantly blasted to smithereens. The 2 sword arrays continued onward unabated, smashing into the armor he wore. Boom! The Tier 1 top-grade armor exploded on impact, turning into countless fragments that scattered across the world. Zhang Songcheng's body exploded along with it, torn to pieces. The 2 sword arrays, their momentum unbroken, finally slammed into the distant ground, carving a shocking crater into the earth. What terrifying power! Li Chang'an was inwardly alarmed. This was the first time he had fully unleashed the spirit sword talisman sword formation. Even he, the one who cast it, was stunned. If someone else had used it on him, he would have died without a doubt. The old bastard is still breathing. Li Chang'an's gaze swept over Zhang Songcheng's mangled remains, and he was secretly surprised. Zhang Songcheng had taken the full force of 2 sword arrays, and more than half his body had been blasted into chunks of flesh and blood. But he was somehow still alive. However, with only his head and a small part of his torso barely intact, injuries this severe meant he was already as good as dead. Li Chang'an. Zhang Songcheng was filled with indignation, desperately clinging to his last breath. He truly didn't understand. How could Li Chang'an wield such terrifying power? Could it be that he was a core disciple from some major sect, out gaining experience? Li Chang'an, you, who in the world are you? Just a loose cultivator, that's all. Li Chang'an replied nonchalantly. He had no interest in chatting with the old man and intended to end this battle quickly. Just a loose cultivator. Zhang Songcheng's voice grew weaker and weaker, his aura rapidly fading. The light in his pupils gradually faded. Before he died, his heart filled with regret. He never should have provoked an enemy as strong as Li Chang'an. From the moment he realized Li Chang'an had a Tier 2 array, he should have known Li Chang'an was no ordinary loose cultivator. But now it was too late for regrets. Li Chang'an Lingfeng, He's just a child, he doesn't know any better. He offended you, but you. Zhang Songcheng's voice was intermittent, growing fainter and fainter. In the end, he couldn't finish his last sentence before his breathing stopped completely. It was clear he was trying to plead for Zheng Lingfeng, begging Li Chang'an to spare his grandson. Judging by the strength Li Chang'an had just displayed, unless Zheng Lingfeng could reach Foundation establishment, he wouldn't stand a chance. Just a child. Li Chang'an almost felt like laughing. He shook his head, then took the storage pouch from Zhang Songcheng's body and cast a few talismans. Soon a raging fire erupted, consuming everything. I shouldn't linger here. With a flicker, Li Chang'an pushed the little 5 elements escape technique to its limit and fled into the distance. The commotion from this battle was too great. Before long, more than a dozen nearby cultivators were drawn to the scene. When they saw the enormous crater, they couldn't help but gasp. Let's go. This is way beyond our level. They had originally come hoping to scavenge some spoils. But now they were all desperately fleeing, wishing their parents had given them a few extra legs. A while later, another group of cultivators arrived. They were from the black market, having tracked the fight here just to see the outcome. Who won in the end? It must have been Zheng Songcheng. He's at the Qi refining peak after all. The group exchanged glances, all guessing among themselves. At that moment, in an underground space, Li Chang'an took out Zheng Songcheng's storage pouch. He wiped away the restriction on it and opened it, a look of delight immediately appearing in his eyes. Dream soul grass. With a thought, a peculiar spirit medicine appeared in his hand. The spirit medicine stalk and leaves were translucent, and a hazy mist seemed to flow within them, giving it a dreamlike appearance. Obtaining this dream soul grass meant that Li Chang'an was another step closer to Foundation establishment. Meanwhile, inside the 100 Affairs Hall in King Marketplace, Zheng Lingfeng received a message from a spirit bird, and his face immediately lit up with joy. Excellent, I can't believe Grandpa got me the dream soul grass so quickly. Chapter 81, Black Wind Mountain, I'm the killer again. Dream soul grass was exceptionally rare. Even if not refined into an elixir pill, consuming it directly offered considerable benefits to a cultivator. According to legend, dream soul grass can enhance one's spirit. If consumed directly, it will cause a slight increase in one's spiritual power. In the underground space, Li Chang'an's eyes lit up with joy as he stared at the dream soul grass. This treasure was truly a rare find. Su Fugui had been inquiring on Li Chang'an's behalf in Yellow Crane Immortal City, but he had never found anything. One would occasionally appear, but it would quickly be claimed by some major family or powerful faction. It would never be the turn of a loose cultivator like him. The path of a loose cultivator is truly difficult. Li Chang'an sighed with emotion and carefully put the dream soul grass away. Besides the dream soul grass, Zheng Songcheng's storage pouch also contained more than 10 types of auxiliary medicines for the Foundation establishment pill, most of which Li Chang'an already had. For example, there were a full 3 portions of cyan bamboo liquid in the storage pouch. However, there were also a few kinds that Li Chang'an didn't have. I can trade the duplicates with others in the future. Li Chang'an mused. In King Marketplace, many loose cultivators had long since given up on Foundation establishment. But in Yellow Crane Immortal City, many loose cultivators still harbored dreams of reaching Foundation establishment, so most of them carried some auxiliary medicines for the Foundation establishment pill in their storage pouches. According to the information Su Fugui had sent back, there were many loose cultivator organizations in the Immortal City that regularly held trade fairs for information and materials related to the Foundation establishment pill. Li Chang'an silently stored all the materials away for later use. He continued to rummage through the remaining treasures in the storage pouch. As expected of an elder from an alchemy family, he sure has a lot of elixir pills. The elixir pills in Zheng Songcheng's storage pouch far surpassed those in Zheng Jinbao's, both in quantity and variety. They ranged from Tier 1 low grade to Tier 1 top grade. It was a collection that had everything one could ask for. A dazzling array. Li Chang'an was almost overwhelmed by the sight. He even had 3 cloud-breaking pills, which aided the breakthrough from the middle stage to the late stage of Qi refining. In addition, there was also a vein protection pill. The vein protection pill. This is a treasure pill that assists in Foundation establishment, It offers no help with the three trials of essence, chi, and spirit, its sole purpose being to protect the meridians and prevent a cultivator from dying from the backlash. Chang'an picked up a translucent small jade bottle. Inside, a round pill could be seen. It was the vein protection pill, coveted by countless chi-refining loose cultivators. In the last 2 auctions, this type of elixir pill had sold for over 2,000 spirit stones. Spending 2,000 spirit stones to avoid dying from a backlash is a pretty good deal. Chang'an considered. However, many chi-refining cultivators wouldn't buy a vein protection pill when facing the great hurdle of foundation establishment. 2,000 spirit stones was an enormous sum. They would rather use that money to buy more treasures that could temporarily boost their magical power, blood chi, or spiritual power, just to add a pitiful sliver of a chance to their success. Then, with a succeed-or-die-trying mentality, they would attempt the breakthrough. Because of this, so many cultivators died during the foundation establishment stage. This elixir pill is useless to me. I have to use a foundation establishment pill. Chang'an shook his head slightly, put it away, and planned to sell it when he found the time. He sorted all the elixir pills by type. He set aside the ones he needed to sell. A pity there are no alchemy teachings. He sighed softly. The Zheng family was incredibly strict about guarding their alchemy legacy. Zheng Jinbao and Zheng Songcheng, both of whom had died at his hands, were considered core members of the Zheng family, yet neither of their storage pouches contained any alchemy teachings. There weren't even any personal notes or insights on alchemy. Chang'an actually really wanted to learn alchemy and was quite envious of the Zheng family's Tier 2 alchemy legacy. This was simply because elixir pills were indispensable on the path of cultivation immortality. Unfortunately, such legacies were hard to come by. Oh well, there's still plenty of time. I should have a chance to obtain one in the future. Chang'an wasn't in a hurry. Yellow Crane Immortal City was rich in resources, and many legacies were sold publicly. According to Su Fugui's reports, top-grade legacies for both talismans and puppets were available for sale, but the prices were so exorbitant that an ordinary loose cultivator could never afford them. As for alchemy, it seemed one could buy a Tier 1 middle-grade legacy. The price was also steep. Even though it's expensive, at least there's a way to buy it. No wonder countless loose cultivators see Yellow Crane Immortal City as a sacred land in their hearts. Chang'an reined in his thoughts and continued to look through the storage pouch. Because of the previous battle, there weren't many magical artifacts left in Zheng Songcheng's storage pouch. He had used most of them to defend against the 2 sword arrays. The only relatively intact Tier 1 top-grade magical artifact was his frequently used fire dragon sword. There are cracks on the blade of this fire dragon sword. No wonder Zheng Songcheng tried to snatch that flaming profound crystal from me. He must have wanted it to repair his magical artifact. It seemed that before fighting him, Zheng Songcheng had gone through another brutal battle that had nearly shattered his magical artifact. This old man is so old, yet he still loves to fight with people. That's not a good habit. You can't win forever. Sooner or later, you'll meet someone stronger than you. Just one loss could mean losing everything, even his life. Chang'an shook his head. He didn't like fighting. It was best to stay at home and cultivate quietly. This guy's talismans are almost all gone, too. He used them all to block the sword arrays. Fortunately, there were still quite a few treasures left. Chang'an soon spotted 2 things that were useful for his body refinement: Heart-burning vine and dawn dew. Both of these treasures can be used for the 7th stage of body refining. I tried to buy them for a long time but never could. His face lit up with joy as he put away the 2 treasures. As for the remaining treasures, a few were helpful for the profound water turtle and Dawang. The rest could be used for trade. After a while, Chang'an finished taking inventory. He immediately used an escape technique to hurry back to King Marketplace. A few days later, King Marketplace was relatively calm. But a rumor began to spread within the marketplace. Have you guys heard? Zheng family elder Zheng Songcheng got into a conflict with a mysterious expert at the black market, chased after him, and still hasn't returned. I heard he's already dead. Who said that? On that day, too many people had witnessed their conflict. The news couldn't be kept under wraps. Over the past few days, Quite a few people had rushed to the battlefield, trying to deduce what had happened based on the traces left at the scene. But Li Chang'an had cleaned up most of the evidence. Zhang Songcheng still hasn't come back. Could he really have been killed? But he's a qi refining ninth layer expert. Who could possibly kill him? Could it be the big master of Black Wind Mountain? Everyone was discussing it animatedly. Most were just curious and enjoying the drama. Before long, Zhang Lingfeng also rushed over to investigate. He was anxious, and hearing the discussions made him even more agitated and uneasy. No, grandfather will be fine. During this time, he had already sent out many people to investigate. The Zheng family was paying close attention to the matter, and Patriarch Zheng had specially dispatched people from the family estate to assist him. Time flew by. Before they knew it, a month had passed. Zheng Songcheng never returned, as if he had vanished into thin air. Not even a body was found. Finally, the Zheng family had no choice but to announce that their family elder, Zheng Songcheng, was dead. The killer was none other than the tribulation cultivator from Black Wind Mountain. The news spread, causing an uproar. So it was Black Wind Mountain. I heard it was the big master himself. That big master is truly formidable. Including Zheng Songcheng, that makes 4 qi refining ninth layer masters who have died at his hands, and all of them were elders from Foundation establishment families. Everyone grew even more awestruck by the legendary big master. Soon, the news reached Black Wind Mountain. Upon hearing this, the big master of Black Wind Mountain was stunned on the spot. What, I killed him too. Chapter 82, Breakthrough. On this day, in the temporary hiding spot of the Black Wind Mountain tribulation cultivators, an angry roar echoed out. They've gone too far. The big master, unable to contain his fury, smashed the stone table before him with a single slap. The Zheng family is simply shameless. They blame everything on my Black Wind Mountain. The matter of Zheng Jinbao hadn't even been solved yet. And now Zheng Songcheng was added to the list. The big master felt like he'd inexplicably become a scapegoat. He was seething with pent-up frustration. Looking back, the deaths of several elders from the 3 great families had also been attributed to him. Big master, calm your anger. We're tribulation cultivators. Why should we care about our reputation? Fourth Lady Mei stood to the side, persuading him in a low voice. But the big master couldn't swallow this insult. Fourth, I told you to deal with that Li Chang'an. Why haven't you captured him for me yet? Don't be anxious, big master. It will be soon. A trace of hatred flashed in Fourth Lady Mei's eyes when she heard Li Chang'an's name. For the past several days, she had been cultivating a special goo insect. Once it's ready, I'll definitely be able to capture Li Chang'an. Big master, give me 3 more months. In 3 months I will bring Li Chang'an before you. Due to Zheng Songcheng's death, the Zheng family increased the bounty on the Black Wind Mountain tribulation cultivators and called upon the loose cultivators in the marketplace to help eliminate them. But Zhang Lingfeng refused to believe that Zheng Songcheng was dead. No, grandfather can't be dead. He was clearly going to bring back Dream Soul Grass for me. Why would he go hunting tribulation cultivators? He muttered to himself, his eyes bloodshot. Could he be trapped in a secret realm? Or maybe the tribulation cultivator fled too far and he's still in pursuit. From beginning to end, he never once suspected Li Chang'an. It was only because Li Chang'an's own strength was too mediocre. The last time he had managed to force Zheng Songcheng to retreat was purely because he was relying on an array. Suddenly, a cold laugh rang out by Zheng Lingfeng's ear. Heh, what a pitiful wretch. Who's there? Zheng Lingfeng's heart jumped. Someone had managed to approach him without a sound. He forced himself to focus, scanning his surroundings with vigilance. It's me. From the shadows not far away, a thin-faced cultivator slowly emerged, a strange smile on his face. Upon seeing this person, Zheng Lingfeng's pupils contracted. He scrambled back several steps and activated a number of defensive magical artifacts. Cao Shaolin, you dare come to King Marketplace? Why wouldn't I dare? The man replied with a smile. He was none other than the young master of the Foundation establishment Cao family, the celestial pride known as their killing child. Cao Shaolin. For someone of his status to dare enter the Zheng family-controlled King Marketplace was simply unbelievable. If the Zheng family's Foundation establishment ancestor discovered him, he would suffer greatly, if not die. Cao Shaolin, what are you planning? Zheng Lingfeng stared at him intently, not immediately notifying the other Zheng family members. He knew in his heart that Cao Shaolin wouldn't seek him out alone without a reason. Heh, I want to make a deal with you. You, a member of the Cao family, want to make a deal with me. Aren't you afraid I'll tell my family's ancestor? Zheng Lingfeng's expression was wary, his entire body tense, not daring to relax in the slightest. Cao Shaolin continued to smile, showing no fear. I'll only ask you one thing. Do you want to reach Foundation establishment? I... Zheng Lingfeng's words caught in his throat. The two words, Foundation establishment, struck his heart like a heavy hammer. He hesitated for a moment before staring at Cao Shaolin and asking, Speak, what do you want me to do? Heh, don't worry, it's nothing major. I can swear on my Tao heart that after this is done, you will be the Zheng family's next Foundation establishment ancestor. Half a month later, in his residence, Li Chang'an sat cross-legged, circulating the cyan wood technique and slowly breathing in spiritual power. Back when I killed Zheng Songcheng, my spiritual power had already accumulated to the peak of the 5th layer. After more than a month of polishing, there shouldn't be any problems. He placed the spiritual eye in front of him. All around him were scattered a large number of crushed spirit stones. The spiritual qi concentration in the entire residence had temporarily reached an astonishing level, and it was firmly locked in by the array, preventing it from dissipating anytime soon. Today is the day of my breakthrough. Li Chang'an took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and began to break through to the next level. It was just a minor realm breakthrough, so with his current accumulation, there would be almost no issues. As expected, in less than 10 minutes, a profound and mysterious aura emanated from his body. Qi refining 6th layer. Li Chang'an opened his eyes, a smile spreading across his face. The breakthrough had been exceptionally smooth. Over the next few days, he did not emerge from seclusion, instead focusing on consolidating his cultivation. 7 days later, a letter from Yellow Crane Immortal City brought Li Chang'an out of his seclusion. A letter from Fugui. He sat in the courtyard, opened the letter, and carefully read its contents. Su Fugui wrote in his letter that he had recently been helping Li Chang'an collect the auxiliary medicines for the Foundation Establishment pill. As the disciple of a Foundation Establishment great cultivator, and having met many people through his skills as a spirit chef, his network was quite extensive. Many loose cultivators were willing to do him a favor. Therefore, it wasn't difficult for him to collect some of the more common auxiliary medicines. Fugui has already collected 19 different auxiliary medicines for the Foundation Establishment pill. Li Chang'an was delighted. This would save him a lot of trouble. Of the auxiliary medicines Fugui collected, only 6 overlap with what I have. The other 13 are all new to me. Furthermore, Su Fugui had also been inquiring about various inheritances for skills. However, Tier 2 inheritances were indeed rare. He had yet to find a good way to obtain one. Brother Li, near the Immortal City, a Foundation Establishment clan has posted a bounty. Whoever can kill the tribulation cultivator known as the 5 Poison Wanderer will receive their family's Tier 2 talismanic inheritance. This was the latest piece of information Su Fugui had gathered. Li Chang'an shook his head as he read. He had heard about the 5 Poison Wanderer from a vendor at the black market. This was a notorious Foundation Establishment stage tribulation cultivator, a poison cultivator who was incredibly difficult to deal with. His poison techniques were said to be unfathomable. Fugui really thinks highly of me, telling me this kind of news. Does he actually think I can kill a Foundation Establishment great cultivator? With his current strength, Li Chang'an was no different from an ant in front of the 5 Poison Wanderer. A Tier 2 inheritance was good, but not worth dying for. As for treasures that could help a demon beast break through to Tier 2, Su Fugui had also inquired about many leads, but none of them were useful. Li Chang'an finished reading carefully. At the very end of the letter, Su Fugui shared a piece of news that took Li Chang'an by surprise. Brother Li, a few days ago, I ran into an old acquaintance. Guess who? It was that little tyke who used to follow us around back in the day, Su Yuyan. She's all grown up now. Su Yuyan. Li Chang'an was lost in thought. That name had been sealed away in his memories for a long time. Back then, on his path to seek immortality, he had saved Su Yuyan, who was not even 6 years old at the time. Afterward, the little girl had followed him on his quest, weathering many storms together, and eventually received her own immortal opportunity, successfully entering an immortal sect. That little one, if I remember correctly, she had a middle-grade gold spirit root, right? Chang'an recalled the scene of the immortal sex assessment back then. The immortal sex assessment, in truth, consisted of only two parts. One tested for spiritual root, and the other tested one's character. Chang'an's character was excellent, but he was too old and his spiritual root was only low grade, so he was rejected. Meanwhile, the young girl Su Yuyan had a middle-grade spirit root and an equally excellent character, so she was chosen by the immortal sect. From that moment on, their lives were separated by the gates of the immortal sect. When they parted, Su Yuyan's small face was stained with tears as she clutched the corner of Chang'an's robes, unable to bear his departure. In the end, an immortal sect elder who looked like an old crone intervened, causing the little girl to fall unconscious before taking her into the immortal sect. Without realizing it, so many years have passed. Chang'an sighed with emotion. The immortal path was long, and time was merciless. Chapter 83, Divination, greatly ominous. Su Fugui wrote in his letter that Su Yuyan was now a late stage of qi refining cultivator. Brother, Su Yuyan asked me about you. I told her you're in King Marketplace, so I think she might come looking for you. She is a sect disciple after all. It wouldn't hurt us to get on her good side. Su Fugui was placing more and more importance on connections now. He stated that Chang'an had done Su Yuyan two great favors. The first was saving her life, and the second was guiding her onto the path of cultivation. At the end of the letter, Su Fugui wrote, "Brother, if it weren't for you, she never would have had the chance to become a cultivator. You must make good use of these two favors." After reading the letter, Chang'an fell into deep thought. Fugui is much smoother than he used to be. That's a good thing. He completely agreed with Su Fugui's assessment. Befriending a sect disciple held no disadvantages for him. The sect treasure vaults contained many treasures that were hard to find in the outside world, and only sect disciples could trade for them. If he could build a good relationship with a sect disciple, he could use that connection to indirectly obtain treasures from the sect treasure vault. But the problem was, after growing up in a sect for over a decade, would Su Yuyan still have any interest in associating with a loose cultivator like him? Most sect disciples were arrogant. They looked down on loose cultivators. The world is ever-changing, and the human heart is hard to fathom. Chang'an shook his head slightly, not getting his hopes up. The human heart was the most difficult thing to judge. In the cultivation immortality realm, relationships between cultivators were mostly maintained by mutual benefit. If you had no value yourself and couldn't bring benefits to others, then you weren't worth befriending. Generally speaking, the higher one's status, the greater one's value. If Su Yuyan really does come, I'll do my best to befriend her. Chang'an made up his mind. In any case, he couldn't let any opportunity slip by. Afterward, he put away the letter and went out to visit Xianxia to discuss talisman art with her again. After their frequent contact during this period, their relationship had become quite good. After their discussion concluded, Chang'an asked, "Taoist Chen, I'm in need of a treasure called the Moonlight Clear Lotus. I've tried to buy it from many sources but have had no luck. Do you happen to have one?" The Moonlight Clear Lotus was a spirit medicine needed for the 7th stage of body refining. Chang'an was currently at the 6th stage of body refining and had to prepare for the next stage in advance. After his recent efforts, he had gathered most of the spirit medicines and essence blood needed for the 7th stage, with only a few items remaining. The Moonlight Clear Lotus was one of them. He couldn't find it in the marketplace or the black market, and Su Fugui hadn't been able to find it in Yellow Crane Immortal City either. Moonlight Clear Lotus. Chang'an's beautiful eyes lowered slightly as she pondered for a moment. A moment later, she said with some uncertainty, "I don't have one, but I remember my father mentioning it once. If you're not in a hurry, Taoist Li, please wait here for a moment while I go ask him." "Thank you, Taoist Chen." Chang'an thanked her sincerely. He had been getting close to Chang'an precisely for the treasures her father had accumulated. Of course, it wasn't as if Chang'an hadn't benefited. Chang'an had noticed many of her misunderstandings regarding the way of talismans and had corrected her several times during their discussions. Chen Yuanshan himself is talented in talisman art, but he doesn't seem to be a good teacher. That's why his daughter has been unable to break through in her talisman art studies. Li Chang'an watched Chang'an's departing figure and thought to himself. He had to admit, Chang'an trusted him a great deal. To think she was comfortable leaving him alone in her residence. After a while, Chang'an returned. Seeing the smile on her face, Li Chang'an knew there was hope. Sure enough, he heard her say, "Taoist Li, my father does have a moonlight clear lotus and is willing to trade it with you. However, it hasn't fully matured yet. It will be ready for picking in 3 days." Hearing this, Li Chang'an felt relieved. A mere 3 days, he could afford to wait. About a quarter of an hour later, he bid farewell to Chang'an and returned to his own residence. On the way home, he took the opportunity to ask around for news about Zhang Songcheng. Regarding Zhang Songcheng's death, the Zhang family is still blaming Black Wind Mountain. It seems the matter is settled. From the looks of it, no one suspected Li Chang'an at all. After all, very few people even knew about the conflict between him and Zhang Songcheng. Besides, his apparent strength wasn't very high. Even if he publicly declared that he had killed Zhang Songcheng, most people would probably think he was joking. Now, I should be able to cultivate in peace for a while. However, what Li Chang'an didn't expect was that, at midnight that night, a divination unlike any he had ever seen before appeared. Divination has been refreshed. Today's divination, greatly evil. The Cao family has bribed the marketplace's array master, Zheng Yang, creating a flaw in King Marketplace's Tier 2 array. The Cao family ancestor and the Wu family ancestor will break through the array, storm the marketplace, and battle the Zheng family's foundation establishment ancestor, causing countless deaths and injuries. You will be caught in the battle, attacked by the Wu family ancestor and gravely wounded. Your 2 spirit beasts will die protecting you. Greatly evil. Li Chang'an's heart jumped, and his face instantly changed. This was the first time he had ever seen this divination. Ever since the divination started appearing, he had seized one opportunity after another, growing stronger and stronger to the point that even evil trigrams rarely appeared. On most days they were peaceful trigrams, with the occasional auspicious trigram. But today, a greatly evil trigram had suddenly appeared. Li Chang'an recalled that a greatly auspicious one had appeared before, allowing him to pick up the profound water turtle with an earth-grade bloodline. This profound water turtle was exceptionally talented and even possessed the heaven-defying magic known as the borrowing technique, which was a tremendous help on his path of cultivation immortality. If he didn't handle today's greatly evil trigram properly, he was afraid his path of cultivation immortality would become difficult once more. The last time the Cao family ancestor attacked, the Zheng family ancestor was no match for him and had to use the array as a deterrent, forcing the Cao family ancestor to retreat. Li Chang'an's brow furrowed as he stared at the contents of the divination, lost in thought. The problem this time lay with the Tier 2 array. Strange, isn't the Tier 2 array of King Marketplace controlled by the Zheng family ancestor? Li Chang'an himself could control the Tier 2 Thundercloud Annihilation array. The Zheng family ancestor was much stronger than him. It made no sense that he couldn't control a Tier 2 array. As for the array master, Zheng Yang, mentioned in the divination, Li Chang'an had never heard of him. Since this person's surname is Zheng and he can control the array, he must be a key figure in the Zheng family. To think he'd be bribed by the Cao family. It seems the Zheng family has major internal problems. The Zheng family's internal problems must have started long ago. After all, it was rumored that Zhang Songcheng's foundation establishment failure was due to interference from a mole. This is too dangerous. The best plan is to run first. Li Chang'an immediately packed up all his belongings and left the marketplace with his 2 spirit beasts. Just like last time, he fled far away before using an escape technique to burrow deep into the earth. However, this time, he didn't plan to be a mere spectator. The divination says the battle will cause countless casualties. Could Chen Yuanchen die in this fight? If he dies, my moonlight clear lotus is gone. Chapter 84, Confrontation. Countless deaths and injuries. Not even during the last great turmoil in the marketplace had the divination given such a severe description. Clearly, if this event were allowed to happen, the entire marketplace would likely be washed in a river of blood. Many people Li Chang'an knew, such as Luo Kun, Wang Hu, and Chen Yuanchen, could very well die in this battle. A battle between Foundation establishment ancestors is far too terrifying. Even the aftershocks of their fight would be more than an ordinary chi refining cultivator could withstand. Li Chang'an mused. That moonlight clear lotus couldn't be picked ahead of schedule. If Chen Yuanchen died, the moonlight clear lotus would most likely be destroyed. But Li Chang'an couldn't possibly return to the marketplace to protect Chen Yuanchen. In a battle between Foundation establishment cultivators, he wasn't confident he could protect anyone. The best way is to stop this from happening in the first place. Without hesitation, Li Chang'an activated the puppet body he had left in the marketplace and headed straight for Zhang Qingqing's residence. Soon, he arrived before Zhang Qingqing's residence and knocked on the gate. When the gate opened, Zhang Qingqing looked at him with a surprised expression. "Taoist Li." "It's me." Li Chang'an nodded. Zhang Qingqing asked, "It's so late. Is there something you need, Taoist Li?" "Something major." Li Chang'an's tone was extremely serious. Zhang Qingqing immediately invited him into the courtyard, closed the gate, and activated an array, sealing the entire courtyard off from the outside world. After doing all this, she frowned delicately, sat across from Li Chang'an and asked, "Taoist Li, what on earth has happened?" "Young lady within your Zhang family, is there an array master named Zhang Yang?" "Oh, how do you know of him, Taoist Li?" Zhang Qingqing grew even more astonished. Zhang Yang's identity was quite special. It was almost impossible for an outsider to know of him. "Young lady, I killed a few tribulation cultivators from Black Wind Mountain today, and happened to learn from them that they are working with the Cow family, planning to throw the King marketplace into chaos once more." Li Chang'an had already prepared his excuse. For a matter of this magnitude, Black Wind Mountain was the perfect scapegoat. After all, Black Wind Mountain had been involved in the last great turmoil in the marketplace. As expected, Zhang Qingqing didn't doubt him, her pretty face turning grave. "Taoist Li, please elaborate." "All right." Li Chang'an immediately continued weaving his story. "Those tribulation cultivators said they've already bribed the Zhang family's array master, Zhang Yang. They're just waiting for him to sabotage the array, and then the Foundation establishment ancestors from the Cow and Wu families will storm the marketplace, causing a river of blood to flow." "What?" Zhang Qingqing's expression changed drastically. If this were to happen, the Zhang family would surely suffer a devastating blow. Ancestor Zhang Yuandao would very likely die under the combined assault of two Foundation establishment cultivators, and the King marketplace would be lost. In the end, the Zhang family would have no choice but to retreat completely, relying on the arrays at their ancestral lands to continue resisting the Cow and Wu families. That was a situation Zhang Qingqing was absolutely unwilling to see. At this moment, Li Chang'an voiced the question on his mind. "Young lady, why isn't the marketplace's Tier 2 Grand Array controlled by the Foundation establishment ancestor?" "You may not be aware, Taoist Li." Zhang Qingqing quickly explained. "If it were just an ordinary house protection array, a single person could naturally control it. But the array covering the King marketplace was simply too vast, much larger than a house protection array. It would be difficult for one person to fully control such a massive array with their energy alone. Only by dividing the entire array into different sections, controlled by different array masters, could it be fully sustained. In short, Foundation establishment ancestor Zhang Yuandao was the primary controller of this grand array, while the numerous array masters were his assistants." "I see." Li Chang'an roughly understood. The Zhang Yang mentioned in the divination was only an assistant controller for the array. Even so, his status within the Zhang family was quite high. Furthermore, his identity was highly confidential. Therefore, that was why Zhang Qingqing had been so surprised when Li Chang'an said his name. She was certain Li Chang'an wasn't lying. "Taoist Li, this matter is extremely dangerous. I know you are a cautious person, so your true self is likely no longer in the marketplace." "You do know me well, young lady." Li Chang'an nodded, not denying it. Zhang Qingqing waved a slender hand. She deactivated the house protection array, allowing Li Chang'an's puppet body to leave freely. "There's no time to lose. I must report this to the ancestor immediately." She stood up, her tone solemn. Before she left, she gave Li Chang'an a deep look. "Taoist Li, if this doesn't go smoothly, tonight might be the last time we ever see each other. Is there anything else you want to say to me?" Li Chang'an was taken aback and thought for a moment. "I wish you success, young lady, and may your path on the immortal Tao be everlasting." "All right, I'll take those auspicious words, Taoist Li." Zhang Qingqing lingered no longer. She turned into a streak of light and vanished into the boundless night. Li Chang'an also left at once, returning to his own residence. He looked up at the night sky. He waited in silence. I hope Zhang Qingqing can pull it off. Not long after, a confrontation erupted within the Zhang family. It was because Zhang Qingqing had suddenly accused Zheng Yang of betraying the family, and with lightning speed, had suppressed him on the spot without allowing any explanation. However, upon subsequent inspection, the section of the array that Zheng Yang was responsible for had no problems whatsoever. Ancestor, please see clearly. There is no way Zheng Yang would betray the family. Zheng Lingfeng stepped forward to speak on Zheng Yang's behalf. Zheng Yang belonged to his branch of the family. Like him, they were both descendants of the other Foundation establishment ancestor. Zheng Yang has always been loyal to the family, maintaining the array day and night. But Zhang Qingqing suppressed him based on a baseless accusation, without a shred of evidence. Zheng Lingfeng confronted Zhang Qingqing, his face a mask of righteous indignation. If word of this gets out, I can't imagine how many family disciples will be disheartened. As soon as he finished speaking, many elders from his branch of the family spoke up. That's right, I watched that boy Zheng Yang grow up with my own eyes. I refuse to believe he would betray the family. The section of the array he's responsible for has no flaws at all. In fact, even Zheng Yuandao had already checked it several times and confirmed there were no issues. It was precisely for this reason that this confrontation was happening. Qingqing, are you certain your information is correct? Zheng Yuandao sent the message telepathically. Zhang Qingqing's expression remained unchanged. She believed in Li Chang'an. Ancestor, there is no mistake about this. As for why there was no problem with the array, perhaps it was because she had acted so quickly that Zheng Yang hadn't had time to sabotage it yet. Not far away, Zheng Yang lay prone in the center of the main hall, his hands and feet bound. He had originally felt uneasy, but now seeing everyone speaking up in his support, his confidence surged. He immediately put on an aggrieved expression. Ancestor, I grew up in the Zhang family. All the resources I've needed since I was a child were provided by the family. I'm not some ungrateful beast. How could I betray the family? Exactly, what kind of beast would betray its own family? The elders from Zheng Lingfeng's branch spoke up again, all supporting him. Meanwhile, the elders from Zhang Qingqing's branch were hesitant. Looking at the situation now, could it be that Zhang Qingqing was really mistaken?